Chapter 171. The flames in the cauldron soared to the sky. Lin Muyu had pushed his dou qi to the limit, converting it into the energy of the flames in the cauldron. He continuously burned and tempered the rock that was floating in the cauldron, weighing about 100 pounds. The hellfire surged violently, emitting a whistling sound as it roasted the entire hall. Lin Muyu furrowed his brows, beads of sweat seeping out from his forehead, flowing down his cheeks and dripping to the ground. This won't do. About 2 hours later, he sighed softly as his fighting chi slowly decreased. The flames in the cauldron also slowly died out. Lin Muyu panted heavily. This rock's characteristics are too miraculous. Every time I'm about to refine it, it produces a stubborn energy that refuses to be refined. I still can't reach the melting point of this 9 heavens spirit iron. Lulu flew out of the EC and flapped her wings in the night. Brother, perhaps the 5th level of the cauldron is too difficult to refine this 9 heavens spirit iron. Why don't we give up? No, I want to try again. Don't force yourself. Lin Muyu's personality was one that refused to believe in superstitions, so he once again raised his true qi and tried to refine the 9 heavens spirit iron. However, after an entire night, he still couldn't refine it. In fact, it was getting harder and harder to refine the rock. It was probably because his fighting qi was exhausted. By the time morning came, he was on the verge of death from exhaustion. There was no other way. He washed up and went to sleep. When he woke up the next afternoon, he didn't even try and directly entered Lanyan City alone to go to the Holy Temple and give the nethergreen stone ring to Lei Hong. First, he took a detour to the Imperial Merchant Guild and gave the 100 bottles of Dream of the Extreme to Jin Xiaotang. The average transaction price was more than 5,000 gold coins per bottle. If everything went as expected, these 100 bottles would return about 400,000 gold coins. This money had to be used wisely. Lin Muyu was born in a business family and knew that the market would eventually be saturated. After these 100 bottles were sold, it would be difficult to sell them again. After all, there were only so many people who had 5,000 gold coins to buy a bottle. After these people spent their money, others might not be able to afford it anymore. At that time, there would be an awkward market situation where there was no supply. He turned around and headed straight for the Sanctum Sanctorum. In the winter, the warhorses neighed as they arrived at the front of the Sanctum Sanctorum. There were about a dozen Sanctum guards returning to their homes. They were patrolling the perimeter of the Sanctum Sanctorum. When they saw Lin Muyu, they immediately surrounded her. Their faces were filled with excitement as they smiled and said, "Master Lin Muyu is back." Is everything all right in the Holy Cathedral?" Lin Muyu asked with a smile. "It's very good. Is Master Lin Muyu here to look for the chief deacon?" "That's right, he's in the main hall, right?" Yes. Good." After entering the Holy Temple and looking from afar, the training hall was filled with low roars and sounds of fighting. The instructors and sparring partners were currently training. Lin Muyu also suddenly remembered his promise to Reiham, to return to the Holy Temple to be a sparring partner every half a month. Time passed so quickly. If not for the heavy snow in the dragon-seeking forest delaying his journey, he would have returned long ago. Big brother Lin Ji. Suddenly, a person rushed out of the training hall, holding a sharp sword in his hand. It was Qin Yen. Lin Muyu couldn't help but smile. "It's little Prince Qin Yen. Why haven't you changed the way you address me? I'm called Lin Muyu here." "Aha, I forgot." Qin Yen scratched his head and said with an awkward smile, "Big brother, are you returning to the Holy Temple to be a sparring partner again?" Qin Yen hasn't sparred with Big Brother for a long time. "If there's a chance, you must give me some pointers." All right. I'll go meet Chief Deacon Reiham first to discuss some matters. Little Prince Qin Yen, wait for me here for a while. I'll come over to look for you in a while. All right. Big brother, go and come back quickly. On the waterside pavilion corridor of the main hall, Jianghu still had a doddering appearance, hugging a scroll in his hands. He squinted his eyes and said with a smile from afar, "You is back? Grandpa Jianghu, bring me to see the chief deacon? Let's go." The chief deacon is currently cultivating in the main hall. All right. Pushing open the main hall's doors, 2 holy temple guards stood guard inside. Raham sat on the chief deacon's throne in the center, his complexion full of vigor. Battle chi enshrouded his body, currently cultivating the spirit-returning art that he relied on to make his name. After sensing 2 powerful forces entering the main hall, he slowly opened his eyes and said with a smile, You're finally willing to return to the holy temple?" Lin Muyu cupped her fists and said with a smile, "Lin Muyu pays respect to Grandpa Deacon." "Heh, stinking brat." Raham's face was filled with benevolence as he said with a smile, "I heard that you performed a great service in Deer Cry Park again and were promoted to Dragon General. It said that you were even adopted by His Majesty." Lin Muyu was taken aback and said, "Adopted son is just a verbal title. It doesn't have any actual meaning. Grandpa Raham, don't use this matter to tease me. If that's the case." Raham narrowed his eyes and said with a smile, "A title is good. After all, your name has already been recorded in the Qin clan's genealogy. Although you won't be able to reproduce, it's still a kind of honor. This kind of honor is something that others can't obtain even if they pursue it their entire lives. You must cherish it. The Qin clan has ruled the continent for thousands of years and has always been generous and benevolent. Joining the Qin clan is a blessing." "I know," Lin Muyu smiled, "the main reason I returned to the holy temple this time is to give Grand Deacon a gift." "Oh, a gift?" Raham's eyes lit up as he said with a smile, "What gift does you want to give Grandpa?" Lin Muyu took out the netherworld stone ring from his cosmos sack and held it in his hand. The black tortoise's refined soul glowed within the ring and a faint roar could be heard. He offered it up and said with a smile, "It's this. Grand Deacon, take a look and see if you like it." Raham took the ring. Just by touching it, he could feel the surging refined soul power. His eyes instantly widened and he said in astonishment, Is this a saint weapon?" Lin Muyu shook his head, "Because I don't understand the grades of accessories other than weapons, I don't know if it's a saint weapon or not. In short, as long as Grand Deacon likes it, it's fine." "I like it, of course I like it." Raham almost couldn't bear to part with it. He said, "What's the origin of this ring? How did you do it? Grandpa has always wanted to ask you, what's up with your blacksmithing skills?" Lin Muyu shook his head and smiled, "Grandpa, don't ask about this. There are some things that you won't understand even if I explain it to you." "Oh?" Raham narrowed his eyes and smiled, "For example?" Lin Muyu's lips curled up, "For example, if I said that I came from another world, would Grandpa believe me?" Raham was stunned at first, then he laughed out loud, "You don't joke with this old man. Another world? How can there be another world in this world? Other than this place, there are only heaven and purgatory. The laws of the 3 worlds have been like this since ancient times. Which world could you have come from?" Lin Muyu giggled, "That's why I can't explain it. Grandpa, just treat it as a joke. This ring is called the Nethergreen Stone Ring. The Nethergreen Stone is exceptionally hard and can be said to be indestructible. Later, I refined a 9,700-year mystic tortoise spirit stone into a beast soul and fused it into this ring. So, this ring now has the ability to protect its owner. Grand Deacon, please take good care of it." Rahong put the thumb ring on his thumb lovingly and said with a smile, "I will. Thank you, you. Stay here today and have dinner in the holy temple tonight?" "No, there are still many things that I need to manage in the Eagle Nest camp." "Oh right, when are you going to return to the holy temple as a sparring partner again?" "It'll be 15 days. I'll come back when the time is right." Humph, stinky brat, now that you're in such a high position, you probably don't want to come back anymore, right? Raham smiled and said, how's your advancement? Come, go to the testing crystal and see what level you've reached. Yes. Lin Muyu walked over to the crystal plate with ease and suddenly shouted in a low voice, raising her battle chi to the limit. Immediately, the indigo-green gourd martial soul circled around her, radiating resplendent light. The crystal to the side reflected rays of light, 6 long lines and 8 short lines. It was very beautiful to look at. Guiyang smiled and said, looks like you has reached the first level of the heavenly realm, level 68. He's close to the peak of the first level of the heavenly realm. He only needs an opportunity to step into the second level of the heavenly realm and have the ability to condense battle armor. Lin Muyu was also taken aback and nodded happily. He didn't expect his strength to increase so quickly after all the battles and cultivation in the dragon-seeking forest, the Hall of Chivalry, and Deer Cry Park. It seemed that he really needed to find a chance to plan for a breakthrough. However, what bothered him even more was how to obtain the next level of the treasure-refining cauldron. If he didn't refine that piece of 9 heaven spirit iron, it would always be like a knot in his heart that couldn't be untied. After bidding farewell to Raham and Guiyang, he carried the prairie-burning sword to the trial hall. An administrator was presiding over the morning trial. When he saw Lin Muyu, he immediately cupped his fists respectfully and said, Master Lin Muyu. Hello, Administrator Sun Quang. The Holy Hall armor Lin Muyu was wearing was similar to those of the Gold Star and Silver Star sparring masters. The only difference was that Lin Muyu had a military insignia embedded in his collar. The golden-purple flower on it had a beautiful luster and was extremely dazzling. This military insignia also signified one's status and identity in the army. This was something that the instructors and sparring masters couldn't compare to, which was why the administrator was so polite. Not long after, Qin Yen walked out of the trial room, covered in hot sweat. He said with a smile, Big Brother is back. Everyone, come over here. I want to spar with Big Brother. Immediately, the instructors and sparring masters all walked out of the trial room. After all, Lin Muyu was known as the #1 sparring master of the Holy Hall, while Qin Yen was the #1 instructor in the Holy Hall in name and in reality. Their spar was naturally very eye-catching. Many people didn't come to watch for victory or defeat, but to see how a true expert would use martial arts to obtain victory in battle. In the eyes of true cultivators, watching was in itself a kind of stealing a master's skills. Chapter 172. Crack. The prairie-burning sword transformed into a streak of fiery light and swept across Qin Yan's dragon-scale armor martial soul shield, but it only left behind a shallow mark on it. And Qin Yan's strenuous counterattack also caused a groove to appear on the wall of Lin Muyu's gourd. However, this mark was swiftly repaired by battle chi. This was the result of the recovery ability. Qin Yan's fire snake spear battle method was wide open and wide, seemingly reckless, but concealed a profound theory. Each attack would always hold back, allowing Lin Muyu to dodge the first attack but absolutely not the second. Even the number of times he attacked Lin Muyu was quite a few times more than the number of times Lin Muyu attacked him. But Lin Muyu borrowed the gourd martial soul's many techniques. Under the unceasing consumption of the recovery ability, Qin Yan's dragon-scale armor was already riddled with holes. Alright. Qin Yan abruptly blasted back Lin Muyu with a spear. Panting heavily, he laughed loudly and waved his hand, saying, My battle chi is already exhausted. Big Brother Lin Muyu is indeed very impressive. No wonder Big Brother said that your strength is absolutely not beneath his. Oh? Did Big Brother Qin Lei say so? Yes. He and Commander Feng Jixing's evaluation of you is very high, feeling that you are the person with the highest talent and comprehension ability among the younger generation in the imperial capital. Perhaps, you will also be the strongest person in Lanyan City in the future. Like that, huh? Lin Muyu rubbed her nose and said somewhat awkwardly, I'm not that impressive. Otherwise, I also wouldn't have nearly been killed time and time again. Qin Yen chuckled. But didn't you avert danger every time? This is proof of strength. Alright, little Prince Qin Yen, I'm returning to the Eagle Nest camp. I'll send Big Brother off. Alright. Qin Yen escorted Lin Muyu all the way out of the Divine Palace, shocking the few Divine Palace guards outside. The second son of Prince Jining actually escorted Lin Muyu out. This kind of treatment was not available to others, and they could not help but respect this number one sparring partner of the Divine Palace a little more. In fact, the people in the Divine Palace were truly in awe. In the competition just now, Lin Muyu had clearly won. In many people's hearts, the strength of the number one sparring partner was still above that of the number one instructor. Lin Muyu's strength was so strong that it was as terrifying as a freak. After returning to the Eagle Nest camp, he continued to try to refine the Nine Heaven Spirit Iron, but he was unable to do so. Late at night, Lin Muyu had already tried countless times, and her face was a little pale. Lulu fluttered on his shoulder and said, Big brother, why don't we give up? This isn't a solution either. Lin Muyu was extremely weak. She nodded and sat down on the floor tiles dejectedly. At this moment, Wei Chao's voice came from outside. Lord Commander, Princess Tang Xiaoxi requests an audience. Oh, Xiaoxi is here. Lin Muyu's heart warmed, and she hurriedly got up and walked out of the residence. The night was not very good. There was no moon or stars, and it was pitch black. Outside, under the illumination of the torches, Tang Xiaoxi dismounted and walked over with a smile. When she got closer, she saw Lin Muyu's expression, and couldn't help but be stunned. Mu, what's wrong with you? Have you not recovered from your injuries from the battle at Deer Cry Park? No. Lin Muyu shook her head. Tang Xiaoxi pouted, and took out a silk handkerchief to wipe the sweat off his forehead. I have been cultivating in seclusion in the Duke's residence these days, and didn't expect so many things to happen outside. I'm really sorry. Lin Muyu couldn't help but laugh. Xiaoxi, why are you apologizing? You haven't let anyone down. No, it's just that I should have come to see you earlier. This. Lin Muyu suddenly felt speechless. Aren't you going to invite me in? Tang Xiaoxi asked with a smile. All right. Lin Muyu stepped aside, and Tang Xiaoxi ordered the guards behind her to stay outside, while she followed Lin Muyu into his residence. Wei Chou followed closely behind, and with an ambiguous smile on his face, he asked, My lord, do you need me to prepare something for you? His smile was really asking for a beating, and Lin Muyu glared at him. Prepare what? What's with that smile on your face? Don't tell me you want to prepare a box of Durex for me? Wei Chou was stunned. What is Durex? Tang Xiaoxi was also stunned, and asked with a smile, Mu, what is that? Lin Muyu scratched her head, and secretly hated herself for blurting it out. She said awkwardly, It's a type of tea from my hometown, it's very smooth, it has various fruity flavors. Tang Xiaoxi squinted her beautiful eyes, and said with a smile, looking at your lying face, I really want to beat you up, but, is there really fruity tea? If there's time, you must invite me to try it. Looking at Tang Xiaoxi's beautiful face, Lin Muyu couldn't help but think about some other things. She nodded and said, Cough cough, if there's a chance, if you're willing. Tang Xiaoxi giggled, what are you talking about, why wouldn't I be willing? Wei Chou stood at the side in a daze. Then, my lord, do you still want me to prepare some snacks, tea, and fruits for you and Princess Shi tonight? Go. Yes, my lord. Although Lin Muyu's room was spacious, it didn't have many furnishings. There was a table, a few chairs, and the rest was a bed. After Tang Xiaoxi entered the room, she looked around, and sat on the bed. She said with a smile, Mu, this room of yours, other than the bed being a little soft, there's really nothing good about it, the bed, it's good to sleep comfortably. Lin Muyu forcefully suppressed the urge to invite Tang Xiaoxi to try the bed. After all, this was a different world where words and actions were more serious. It wasn't the world where she could casually joke around. It wouldn't be good if Tang Xiaoxi flipped out. Tang Xiaoxi giggled and said, "Are you nervous?" "No." "Then why aren't you coming over and sitting down?" "Oh, okay, come sit beside me." "Ah, okay." Lin Muyu obediently sat on the side of the bed, her heart filled with even more complicated feelings. At this moment, Wei Chou walked in with a plate of fruits and a pot of warm wine. He couldn't help but be stunned. Did I disturb you guys?" "No." Tang Xiaoxi opened her big, watery eyes and smiled innocently. Lin Muyu gestured, "Wei Chou, you can leave after you put down the things." "Yes." Wei Chou turned around and left. A man and a woman stayed in a room together, and the atmosphere was slightly awkward. The faint fragrance from Tang Xiaoxi really tested a person's patience. Lin Muyu was a hot-blooded man after all, so how could he resist this kind of temptation? He hurriedly used the spirit pulse technique to clear the distracting thoughts in his mind. But at this time, even Tang Xiaoxi was quite nervous. Her beautiful face was red as she said, Should I not have come tonight?" "No." Lin Muyu smiled slightly. "Xiaoxi, how's your advancement recently?" I'm almost at the peak of the third heaven of the earth realm. Recently, Chu has been teaching me how to cultivate, so my advancement speed is very fast, but I can't break through to the heaven realm. I'm still keeping the 5,000-year-old fire spirit stone that you brought with you. I'll use it on the day I break through." "I see." Lin Muyu stood up and poured a glass of wine for Tang Xiaoxi. She said, "Drink some wine to warm your body. Xiaoxi's cultivation speed is still very fast, much faster than I thought." Tang Xiaoxi also stood up and said with an unconvinced smile, "What's wrong? Do you think I'm a pampered princess who doesn't want to improve? Of course not. Xiaoxi is the best." Tang Xiaoxi drank a glass of wine, and her face seemed to turn even redder. She suddenly asked, "Mu, you saved Xiaoyin in Deer Garden, did she?" She stammered for a long time, but did not say anything. Lin Muyu's heart also beat faster, and she asked, "Did Xiaoyin do something?" Tang Xiaoxi's face turned red, and even Lin Muyu could feel the heat. She stammered for a while, and said, "Did she tell you that she likes you?" No. Lin Muyu was extremely embarrassed. "All right then." Tang Xiaoxi seemed to be relieved of a heavy burden, and she pursed her lips into a smile. "Mu, after you became the commander of the Eagle Nest Camp, are you especially busy with military affairs?" Lin Muyu spread her hands. "Do I look like I'm busy with military affairs?" "You don't, then that's right. I've handed everything to Wei Chou, Xiahou Sang, and the other squad leaders of the Imperial Guards." You can even be so casual as the commander of the Empire's regular army. You're really something, is that so?" Lin Muyu glanced at her, and said, "You speak as if you're very diligent. Do you want to see how much work it takes to train and deploy nearly 1,000 troops every day?" Tang Xiaoxi laughed. "I don't want to." Looking at her beautiful smiling face, Lin Muyu's heart was pounding. Just as she was about to lose control of herself, a sudden clap of thunder came from outside. "It's thunder, it's going to rain," Tang Xiaoxi said, blinking her eyes. Lin Muyu chuckled, "Don't worry, there are plenty of rooms in the Eagle Nest Camp. If it really rains, you can stay the night in the Eagle Nest Camp." A naughty smile appeared on Tang Xiaoxi's face. "Does that mean something is going to happen?" "What could happen?" Lin Muyu said righteously. Tang Xiaoxi pouted, "Oh, you're so disappointing, you. I can't talk to you anymore." Lin Muyu was indignant. She was actually being teased by Tang Xiaoxi. It seemed that the girls in this world, were quite loving, much more lively than she had imagined. Whoosh, opening up an oil paper umbrella, Lin Muyu said, "Xiaoxi, come out with me to see the thunderstorm?" Yes. This was a winter thunderstorm. The heavy rain poured down on the Eagle Nest Mountain, causing the flames in the braziers to flicker. In the distance, Wei Chao's loud voice could be heard, "Hey, you lazy bums, pay attention to the oil in the braziers. Don't let the fire go out, or I'll spank your butts." Tang Xiaoxi smiled, tightened her cloak, and snuggled up to Lin Muyu. Chapter 173. The oil paper umbrella was not big to begin with, so Tang Xiaoxi could only lean against it tightly. Lin Muyu tried his best to cover Tang Xiaoxi's head with the umbrella. In the blink of an eye, half of his armor was soaked. Eagle Nest Mountain was just like its name. It was a towering mountain with a lone peak rising into the sky. It was very similar to the Dragon Rocky Mountain where the Longdan army camp was based. The only difference was that the Dragon Rocky Mountain was more spacious and could accommodate more troops. At this moment, thunder rumbled in the distance, accompanied by rain. Lin Muyu naturally reached out and hugged Tang Xiaoxi's shoulder. The two of them walked to the cliff of Eagle Nest Mountain. Looking into the distance, the capital city of Lanyan City was flashing in the lightning and swaying gently with the wind and rain. Tang Xiaoxi turned around and felt Lin Muyu's arm around her. She blushed and smiled. "Mu, do you think this place is romantic?" "Romantic?" Lin Muyu could not help but laugh. A bolt of lightning is enough to turn a person into ashes in an instant. The power of the heavens cannot be violated. Eagle Nest Mountain is the highest place around Lanyan City, so it is most likely to attract lightning. "This is really not romantic," Tang Xiaoxi giggled and said in a voice as soft as a mosquito's buzz, "You are really unromantic." What?" "Nothing, do you want to patrol the camp?" "There is no need, Wei Chou, Xiahou Sang and the rest are here. Furthermore, we have sentries all around, so it will not be easy for anyone to climb up the mountain. Don't worry, the Eagle Nest camp is very safe now. Our people are everywhere, and I have already forced away all the people that the Divine Marquis residents planted in the Eagle Nest camp." Lin Muyu smiled confidently. "Why would I allow anyone to be under my watch? I will not tolerate dissidents like His Majesty." Tang Xiaoxi was stunned. She wanted to say something but hesitated. Actually what?" Lin Muyu asked. Tang Xiaoxi didn't say anything, but she reached out and wrapped her arms around Lin Muyu's waist, burying her body in his embrace. Perhaps it was because of the cold weather or something else, but her body was trembling slightly. She said, "Actually, His Majesty also has his own troubles." Do you know? The King of Light, Qin Jin, was called the King of Light because he had quelled 2 rebellions in the northern desert and southern border. In the northern desert, he had killed more than 300,000 enemy soldiers, and in the southern border, he had killed 170,000 enemy soldiers. That was why he was called the King of Light. But the real commander of both wars was Zheng Yifan, the man known as the Divine Marquis. As she spoke, she pursed her red lips, her beautiful eyes gazing at the lightning in the distance. Her eyes shone as she said, "Zheng Yifan has been conferred the title of Marshal twice, and he controls more than 80% of the Empire's military power. Decades have passed, and the Emperor has continuously weakened Zheng Yifan's military power, which has finally resulted in the current situation. 3 of the Empire's 7 major cities, Lanyan City, Qihai City, and Muyu City, have military power in the hands of the Emperor, but the remaining 4 cities are actually mostly controlled by Zheng Yifan's people. Among the Empire's 12 provinces, only 5 provinces are directly under the imperial capital's control. The rest are governed by their own laws. Emperor Qin Jin doesn't rely on Zheng Yifan, but he doesn't dare to touch him." Lin Muyu took a deep breath and said, "Xiaoxi knows a lot more than I do." Tang Xiaoxi laughed softly. I grew up in Seven Seas City and was influenced by what I saw and heard. Of course I know more than you. But Mu, your current status is different from when you were in Cathaya City. You are now one of the 3 commanders-in-chief of the Imperial Army and a general with military power. There are some things you should know. Oh right, I'll give you a military distribution map of the Empire's 12 provinces later. You should have studied it a long time ago. Amen. Thank you, Xiaoxi. Lin Muyu smiled. Unfortunately, Xiaoxi's status is too high. Otherwise, I would definitely keep you by my side as a staff officer. Tang Xiaoxi smiled. Status? I don't have a very high status. As long as you want, Mu, I can stay in the Eagle Nest camp for you. The Duke of Seven Seas residence is so boring anyway. If we're talking about status, I'm afraid that Xiao Yin's status is too high. There's no way she can be your staff officer. Yes, Lin Muyu thought of Qin Yin. Qin Yin had grown up in Zhe Tian Palace. The pressure she endured in this area was probably much, much greater than Tang Xiaoxi's. When he thought of this, he immediately asked, Xiaoxi, the master of Seven Seas City is your grandfather, Duke Kenglin. Then, if Duke Kenglin passes away, and I'm saying if, who will be the next master? Will it be you? I won't. Tang Xiaoxi shook her head. After all, I'm a woman. So, unless it's a last resort, I won't be given military power. Besides, I have a few brothers above me. With them around, it won't be my turn to wield military power. Besides, I have no interest in this area. Or, she widened her eyes and looked at Lin Muyu. She smiled. Or do you want me to wield Seven Seas City? If that's the case, I can give it a try. Grandfather loves me so much. Maybe he will make an exception and pass the title of Duke of Seven Seas City to me? Lin Muyu was stunned. Forget it. I don't want you to be so tired. Besides, I'm a person who's good at satisfying others. It's good to have you by my side. If you really go to Seven Seas City to be the master, I'm afraid it'll be difficult for me to see you again. Yes, Mu is the smartest. At this moment, with a sudden crack, a purple thunderbolt fell on the top of the mountain in front of them. It directly struck a pine tree and set it on fire. Moreover, some light purple flames fell from the sky. These flames slowly seeped into the rocks. In the blink of an eye, the rocks actually rustled and weathered away. Lin Muyu's eyes widened. What kind of flame is that? It can actually burn rocks into powder? Tang Xiaoxi narrowed her eyes. It's the heavenly fire. Legend has it that the heavenly fire can burn everything. It's just a piece of cake for it to burn rocks. I didn't expect to see the heavenly fire here. Mu, let's go back quickly. Once the heavenly fire falls on us, I'm afraid we'll be burned into a pile of ashes even if we have the body of the sanctuary, no. Lin Muyu's heart skipped a beat. She said, Xiaoxi, go back to my room and wait for me. I need these heavenly fire. This kind of heavenly fire came from nature, but its temperature was even higher than the hellfire. Wasn't this what Lin Muyu needed the most? Seeing her determined look, Tang Xiaoxi bit her red lips and said, well, Mu won't go back. I'll stay here with you. No, Xiaoxi, go back. It's dangerous here. Humph, you dare to drive me away? I'm a princess. The beautiful princess quickly got into her role and began to put on airs. Lin Muyu shrugged. Well, you help me hold the umbrella. I'm going to refine these heavenly fire. Okay. Tang Xiaoxi held the umbrella. Because of the height difference, she almost crossed her legs. Ignoring the heavy rain, Lin Muyu quickly came to the place where the heavenly fire landed. She opened her hand and spat out her fighting energy. The light of the refining cauldron quickly enveloped the heavenly fire. Then, Lin Muyu closed her eyes. It was not easy to refine a kind of fire. She needed to understand its temperature and characteristics. The characteristics of the hellfire were fierce, while the heavenly fire was destructive. Buzz, the crafting cauldron trembled slowly, and the heavenly fire seemed to have a mind of its own. What Lin Muyu needed to do was to use her battle chi to control these heavenly fire and make them submit to her and be used for her own purposes. The night wind was cold, like a knife scraping her skin. Tang Xiaoxi trembled slightly. She had to release the fire fox martial soul. The small fire fox lingered on her shoulder, providing heat for its master. Lin Muyu was immersed in the process of refining the heavenly fire. He closed his eyes and surrounded his whole body with fighting energy. He looked like a god of war resting with his eyes closed. Tang Xiaoxi looked at him, and a smile appeared on her lips. It seemed that just looking at him like this was also a happy thing. The refinement process lasted for 7 hours. By the time the heavenly fire was successfully refined and tamed, it was already close to dawn. The cold rain was still falling. Lin Muyu slowly breathed a sigh of relief and opened his eyes. There was a strange look in his eyes. When he turned around, he found that Tang Xiaoxi was almost frozen into a beautiful ice sculpture. There were even icicles hanging from her long hair. She was staring at him silently with her big eyes. "Are you okay, Xiaoxi?" He anxiously hugged her. "Is it too cold?" Tang Xiaoxi was so cold that her whole body was trembling. She nodded. "Oh, why aren't you cold at all? Your body is so hot, because I'm a young man." "That's enough, let's go back quickly." "Okay." When they returned to Lin Muyu's room, he quickly ordered Wei Chou to prepare some water for Tang Xiaoxi to take a bath. Then, he boiled some ginger soup for her. As for Lin Muyu, he waited outside the door until Tang Xiaoxi finished bathing, ate something, and went to bed. "Are you feeling better?" He looked at Tang Xiaoxi who was lying on his bed. Tang Xiaoxi smiled and nodded. "Yes, much better. Your guards are waiting outside. If I don't hand you over, they will kill me, hee, let them be. Mu, don't go. Stay here with me, okay?" "Okay then." Lin Muyu sat on the bed and watched Tang Xiaoxi fall asleep. Then, she started to work. That's right, she could refine that stubborn stone now. Buzz! The artifact refining cauldron appeared in the hall of her residence. Lin Muyu controlled the artifact refining cauldron with one hand and threw the 9 heaven spiritual iron in with the other. With a soft chant, the 6th layer of refining fire, heavenly fire emerged and lingered around the 9 heaven spiritual iron as it burned fiercely. In an instant, the outer layer of the 9 heaven spiritual iron began to peel off. It was a success. This heavenly flame was indeed extraordinary. Its refining effect was much stronger than the hellfire's refining effect. After nearly 2 hours, the 9 heaven spiritual iron was completely melted into lava. Lin Muyu reached into her Qianquan bag and took out the 12,300-year-old dragon snake's spirit stone. Then, she continued to refine the spirit stone. Chapter 174. Swoosh, swoosh, streaks of heavenly fire in the form of fiery red divine dragons circled around the spirit stone, letting out a low whistling sound. Lin Muyu focused on increasing her battle chi to continuously provide energy to the weapon refining cauldron. Under the constant burning and tempering of the heavenly fire, a corner of the dragon snake spirit stone peeled off, revealing the fiery red layer of spiritual power inside. At the same time, with a long howl, the fiery red soul of the dragon snake rushed out of the spirit stone and began to attack fiercely. It extended its long tongue and opened its bloody mouth to devour Lin Muyu. After refining the soul so many times, Lin Muyu had already expected this. Without saying much, he quickly increased his battle chi to strengthen the protective wall of the weapon refining cauldron. At the same time, he let out a soft shout and his entire aura quickly descended into the weapon refining cauldron, forming an invisible domain. Perhaps his strength was not enough to form a suppressive force in the outside world, but the weapon refining cauldron was his domain, so it was not impossible to condense a suppressive force. In the end, under Lin Muyu's strong suppressive force, the soul of the dragon snake howled miserably and tried to bite Lin Muyu again and again, but all of them hit the protective wall of the weapon refining cauldron in front of Lin Muyu. Unknowingly, he no longer relied on the seven luminaries' dark force to suppress the beast soul's counterattack. No matter how strong the dragon snake was, it could not touch him at all. Finally, the soul of the dragon snake struggled a little and Lin Muyu slowly raised her arm. Instantly, the heavenly fire chains in the treasure cauldron formed a large hand and grabbed the body of the dragon snake. Under the tempering of the heavenly fire, the soul of the dragon snake instantly disintegrated, turning into specks of starlight that seeped into the scorching hot nine heaven spirit iron lava. Squeak, squeak, in the faint sound, the impurities in the iron lava were constantly refined and sublimated. The remaining iron lava was red and almost purple. In Yi-Hai, Lulu quickly gave Lin Muyu a set of sword molds. After repeatedly selecting, she finally chose a set that she was more satisfied with. This was a set of sword molds that was designed with the symbol of dragon. The body of the sword was slender, but the edge of the sword was thicker and more dignified. The blade was about 1 centimeter wide, and behind it was a simple and unadorned Eastern pattern. In the center of the blade was a thin blood groove, and on both sides were engraved patterns of divine dragons. The sword hilt appeared very graceful, like the head of a real dragon, and its whiskers slowly spread out, looking very lifelike. At the end of the sword hilt was a 6-pointed star pattern. In the middle of the 6-pointed star was hollowed out, with a Tai Chi 8 trigrams floating above it. The spiritual power was gently flowing, but the people in this world didn't pay attention to the balance of yin and yang, so they probably didn't understand the profound meaning of the 8 trigrams. Soon, the shape of the whole sword was revealed. Lin Muyu closed her eyes and continued to use her spiritual sense to refine the details of the blade. When she was refining the burning prairie sword, she adopted the design of compound blades, with a total of 5 compound cutting layers. This way, the sword would be sharper and more durable. However, the material of this sword was rarer than the Millennium Meteoric Iron. The density was higher, and the particles were finer. Therefore, Lin Muyu spent a lot of effort and spent nearly an hour to carefully polish it. She designed a total of 10 compound cutting layers for this new sword. It could be said that this sword was also the pinnacle of Lin Muyu's current forging ability. Ow ow, this dignified and unadorned long sword was done in the blink of an eye, and the roar of a dragon snake that sounded like a real dragon came from it. What should I call it? Naturally, Lin Muyu was very satisfied with this sword. After thinking for a long time, she decided that since this sword was made of dragon snake spirit stone and 9 heaven spirit iron, she would take the common name of the two and call it dragon spirit sword. Puff! The dragon spirit sword fell into the water tank in the room, and suddenly, a burst of steam rose, directly waking up Tang Xiaoxi. She rubbed her sleepy eyes and propped herself up. She asked, "Mu, you're not asleep yet?" "Yes, there's no place to sleep." "Didn't you take the bed?" Lin Muyu turned around and saw that Tang Xiaoxi had gone to bed after bathing. She didn't wear a coat at all. At this moment, a large area of her ice skin and jade bones was exposed. In an instant, Lin Muyu felt her head heat up. She hurriedly used the spirit pulse technique to focus. Tang Xiaoxi seemed to have also noticed her appearance. She blushed and immediately burrowed back into the blanket. She took some clothes from the side and put them on one by one. Lin Muyu didn't look at her and reached out to pick up the dragon spirit sword from the bottom of the water tank. This sword was far heavier than an ordinary long sword, about 50 jin. An ordinary person wouldn't be able to swing it at all. However, Lin Muyu was already a heaven realm expert, and his arm strength was astonishing. Moreover, he had sword heart. When he forged the weapon, he had already fused with the sword soul of the dragon spirit sword. Therefore, he could lift the heavy sword as if it was light. He held the dragon spirit sword in his hand and swung it lightly. Hum, hum, the edge of the sword brought with it a formless gust of wind, making people gasp in admiration. This sword was something Lin Muyu had never seen before, be it in appearance or sharpness. Because Tang Xiaoxi was there, Lulu didn't fly out. She only looked at the sea and said with a smile, "Congratulations, big brother, for obtaining another peerless godly weapon. According to this world's weapon classification, this dragon spirit sword is a 4th rank saint grade." 4th rank saint grade? Lin Muyu was secretly delighted. Is it even sharper than the Emperor's Desolation sword? Of course. The Desolation sword is 6th rank saint grade, while the Dragon Spirit sword is 4th rank saint grade. It's 2 ranks higher. This Dragon Spirit sword should be able to cut open the scales of the 10,000-year dragon snake, right? It definitely can. Lulu giggled. Big brother, I didn't expect you to still be troubled by the dragon snake's defense. That's right. Lin Muyu sighed and said, the art of smithing is my biggest reliance in this world. If I can't rely on the sharpness of my weapon to defeat those stronger than me, then what else can I rely on? If my burning prairie sword could pierce through the dragon snake's scales, I'm afraid Xiao Yin and big brother Feng Jixing wouldn't have encountered such danger. Lulu smiled slightly. Big brother, you don't have to blame yourself. Your performance was already very perfect. If you performed a little better, it would inevitably arouse suspicion. You're right. Lin Muyu waved the dragon spirit sword and cut a piece of black cloth from the curtain at the side to wrap the newly forged sword. However, at this moment, someone grabbed his arm. It was Tang Xiaoxi. Is this the work you've been working on all night? Tang Xiaoxi smiled sweetly. Yes. Lin Muyu pulled off the black cloth and showed the dragon spirit sword to Tang Xiaoxi without reservation. He asked with a smile, Xiaoxi, is my smithing skills worthy of the title of Grand Master? Of course, of course. Tang Xiaoxi giggled. Mu is the best. This sword, what grade is it? About the 4th rank of saint grade. What? A saint grade weapon? This time, Tang Xiaoxi's mouth was wide open. She looked at him and said, did I hear it wrong? There are only a few saint grade weapons in the entire Lanyan city. The Emperor's Desolation sword is rumored to be the strongest weapon in the capital, but your sword is stronger than it? Of course it's stronger. Lin Muyu grinned and said, Xiaoxi, you have to keep this a secret. If people know that I'm a grandmaster of smithing, I'm afraid that the door will be broken. Yes. Tang Xiaoxi smiled faintly. If people really know, I'm afraid that His Majesty the Emperor, Duke Kanglin, Duke Muyun, and even King Zhennan in Lingnan will send people to invite you to join their families. After all, a person who can forge a saint-grade weapon is rare in the world. Moreover, Mu, the shape of your sword is a bit strange. I'm afraid it won't fit well with a normal scabbard. When you ask someone to forge the scabbard for you, don't take the sword with you. Just draw a drawing directly. Well, Xiaoxi is really thoughtful. I understand. When are you going to forge the scabbard? I'll go with you. I'll also ask you to accompany me for a stroll in Lanyan City. In the afternoon. Okay. In the afternoon, Lanyan City was very quiet, but from time to time, there were people galloping on horses. Their destination was the Chamber of Commerce of the imperial capital. It seemed that the 100 bottles of Dream of the Zenith would be auctioned this afternoon. Needless to say, it must be unprecedentedly lively. All the noble childs would not miss the legendary treasure of Dream of the Zenith. Lin Muyu had no intention of watching the grand auction, so he went to the blacksmith shop with Tang Xiaoxi. Due to Tang Xiaoxi's repeated insistence, the scabbard of the dragon spirit sword was forged by Tang Xiaoxi. Scabbards were generally made of wood and metal, so Lin Muyu couldn't do it himself. He was good at forging, but he was not a carpenter. The shopkeeper looked at Tang Xiaoxi and Lin Muyu with a fat face and said with a smile, "Generally, the wood used in scabbard is divided into several grades. The higher the grade, the stronger and more durable it is. Miss, look, this is mahogany, and the casting cost is only 1 gold kin coin. This is rosewood, and the casting cost is 3 gold kin coins. As for this black spirit wood, it's even more expensive, costing 10 gold kin coins. Of course, the most expensive and also the best is this red gold wood. The wood is very light, but very strong. Let's use the red gold wood." Tang Xiaoxi smiled and said, "The accessories for the scabbard can be made of red gold. How much do you think this scabbard will cost?" "A total of, about 120 gold kin coins." "Got it." Tang Xiaoxi took out a diamond coin and said with a smile, "Make it as exquisite as you can. Money is not a problem." The shopkeeper's face was glowing. "All right, I will definitely not disappoint Miss and your boyfriend." Tang Xiaoxi was stunned, and her face instantly turned red. She wanted to say that Lin Muyu wasn't her boyfriend, but on second thought, there was nothing wrong with that, so she shyly acquiesced. Lin Muyu coughed and didn't say anything else. In any case, Tang Xiaoxi was obedient and treated her well. If she really had a girlfriend like her, it would be a gift from the heavens. However, Duke of Zhonglan might not think that way. After all, Tang Xiaoxi was a princess, so it was impossible for her to marry a mid-ranked general like her. After thinking for a moment, she hurriedly shook her head. What was she thinking? It was all a mess. Chapter 175. Amidst the sounds of hammering, Lin Muyu and Tang Xiaoxi waited for nearly 2 hours. The efficiency of this smithy was quite high. 4 or 5 blacksmiths worked together, and in just 2 hours, the scabbard that Lin Muyu needed was forged. Pure gold wood, a type of wood similar to pure gold. It was polished very smoothly, and the hard pure gold was inlaid around it. The metal was engraved with gorgeous patterns, and it looked quite similar to the style of the dragon spirit sword. "Milord, are you satisfied?" the shopkeeper said with a smile. Lin Muyu took the scabbard and weighed it in her hand. It was about 3 kilograms, not bad. She raised her hand to hold the scabbard of the dragon spirit sword, and with a sudden shake, the black cloth was shredded. Before the shopkeeper could see the true appearance of the dragon spirit sword, the blade entered the scabbard with a "ka" sound, and there was no gap between them. Good craftsmanship indeed. Seeing Lin Muyu's satisfied expression, Tang Xiaoxi smiled and said, "All right, can we go out now?" "Wait a little longer." "Oh? What are you waiting for?" "In a while, Wei Chou and the others will come." "Oh?" Tang Xiaoxi didn't understand, so she continued to stroll around Skyspan Street with him. In less than half an hour, Wei Chou appeared with dozens of Eagle Nest camp soldiers, and he even dragged a few carriages. They were here to transport the dragon snake shields. "Milord." Wei Chou cupped his fists and said with a smile, "We can go load the goods now." "Let's go." "Yes." When they arrived at the smithy, the shopkeeper had already recognized Lin Muyu. With a face full of smiles, he walked up and said, "Milord Lin Muyu, this batch of dragon snake shields has been completely forged. Please follow me." "Yes." After entering the inner courtyard of the ironware shop, they saw piles of black dragon snake shields already piled up there. The shopkeeper lifted one of the shields with force and stretched out his hand to gently brush the metal on the edge of the shield. He said with a smile, "The main body of these dragon snake shields is made of dragon snake scales, and the surface is covered with a layer of dark steel. The edge is even cast with 100-year dark steel, and the handle is wrapped with cowhide. It is impervious to water and fire, and can be said to be indestructible. There probably isn't any sharp weapon in the world that can cut through this 10,000-year-old dragon snake shield, right? Really? Lin Muyu smiled faintly and suddenly unsheathed her sword. The dragon spirit sword's aura surged and drew a fiery arc in the air, sweeping across the surface of the dragon snake shield in a straight line. Half a second later, it was sheathed with a dang sound. The speed of her attack stunned Wei Chou, Tang Xiaoxi, and the shopkeeper. It was as if a bolt of lightning had flashed past. Pa! The surface of the dragon snake shield suddenly cracked open. Then, the shield quickly split into two halves and landed in the shopkeeper's hands. This, the shopkeeper's face was full of shock. How is this possible? We have tested it many times. The strongest blacksmith in the shop used our best weapon to hack at the dragon snake shield. Even when he hit the opening, the dragon snake shield was not damaged in the slightest. Madam Lin Muyu, your sword is. Lin Muyu raised her eyebrows and said, I just want to tell you that there is nothing in this world that is indestructible. Alright, move the dragon snake shields out and load them up. Yes. Wei Chou looked at the dragon snake shields and said happily, Madam, these shields, are they prepared for the eagle nest camp? Lin Muyu quickly dampened his enthusiasm. She could not give him any hope. No, after this, you will accompany me to Dragon Rocky Mountain and send these shields over. I have prepared them for the Longdan army camp. Wei Chou narrowed his eyes. Madam's mercenary group? Yes, it is officially registered. It is indeed enviable. The people of the Longdan army camp can actually use such good equipment. Even the most elite troops of the empire probably do not have such equipment. If you are envious, you can resign from your post and go to the Longdan army camp to be a vice commander. Lin Muyu teased. Wei Chou also laughed. Madam, you must be joking. I have sworn to be loyal to the empire. Lin Muyu did not point it out. The Longdan army camp was a private army after all. It naturally could not be compared to the royal guards. After all, the royal guards were the most elite troops of the empire. It was not an exaggeration to say that the Longdan army camp was unknown. A total of 5 carts of dragon snake shields were loaded onto the carriages. They were wrapped in huge black cloth and slowly drove on Tongtian Street. When they passed by the Duke of Seven Seas mansion, Tang Xiaoxi had no choice but to go home. She pouted and angrily said goodbye to Lin Muyu. She also made an appointment to meet again. In reality, there was no time, but Lin Muyu promised to go to the Duke's mansion to find her when she was free. He continued to lead the caravan forward, and not long after, the sound of weeping could be heard from the front. A group of young women dressed in rags appeared on the street, and they were guarded by Imperial Army soldiers wielding weapons. It was obvious who they were, camp concubines. They passed by the carts. Among them was a girl who looked to be at most 15 years old. Her face was full of dirt, but it could not hide her beauty under her messy hair. Her arms and legs were full of whip marks. It was obvious that she had been whipped. Lin Muyu rode on a horse and looked down at her. The girl actually turned her head and looked up at Lin Muyu. Their eyes met. The girl moved her lips but did not say anything. Wait. Lin Muyu's cry immediately made Wei Chou confused. He said in a low voice, Madam, don't be impulsive again. Even if you save these girls, there will be new ones to replace them. Don't be impulsive. You don't want to be exiled to Tongtian Tower again, do you? Of course not. Lin Muyu smiled and turned her horse around. She looked at the girl and asked, Where are you from? The girl's face was full of fear. Tongtian Province. Why did you come to Lanyan City? Lin Muyu tried her best to maintain a sunny smile so that she would not be so nervous. The girl's lips moved again, and her eyes were full of fear. She knew that the person in front of her was a senior officer. If she spoke carelessly, she might meet a more tragic fate. She lowered her head and said in a voice as soft as a mosquito, "My parents were killed by mercenaries. I was sold here by mercenaries." I know. Lin Muyu sat on her horse, feeling a little hesitant. At this moment, the centurion who was in charge of leading the troops said politely, "Madam Lin Muyu, these 40 girls are new recruits. We are just doing our job. We hope that Madam Lin Muyu will not make things difficult for us. After all, we are just following orders." "Yes, I know." Lin Muyu asked, "Madam, how many girls are there in the nurturing hall who have been sold and bought against their will?" The centurion looked worried. "There are about 50 of them." "Madam, what do you mean?" "I know." Lin Muyu nodded and smiled. "You don't have to worry. Bring these girls into the nurturing hall, but don't let anyone touch them. Wait for me for an hour. Is that all right? Just treat it as giving me some face." The centurion cupped his fists and smiled. "Madam, you must be joking. This is what I should do." "Yes, all right." As he watched the group of girls enter the nurturing hall, Wei Chou looked confused. "Madam, what are you trying to do?" Lin Muyu laughed self-deprecatingly. "In the past, I always thought that I was great and could change everything. I thought that I couldn't tolerate even a speck of dust in my eyes. Now, I truly understand the true meaning of the saying, change what you can change, and endure what you can't change. Perhaps this nurturing hall is something that I can't change with my power, but I can still change something. Wei Chou, where is the largest place in Lanyan City to drink with prostitutes?" Wei Chou was stunned. "This. Madam, Wei Chou is a commoner, and most of his salary is sent back home for retirement. How can I have extra Jin coins to drink with prostitutes? However, I know of a place called the Smile of Beauty's Alley. There are many restaurants there, and they are all places to drink and have guests stay overnight. Bring me there immediately. The rest of you, escort the dragon snake shield back to Eagle Nest Mountain and wait for my orders." "Yes." The two of them spurred on their horses, and not long after, they entered a small alley filled with women. There were brightly colored door signs all around, giving off a sense of déjà vu in the lovely spring brothel. Lin Muyu couldn't help but laugh inwardly. She and Wei Chou were both young and handsome imperial guards, and they were wearing bright armor at the moment. They quickly became the targets of the brothel keepers. Not far away, a brothel keeper with a mole on her chin quickly came forward. She wasn't afraid of strangers and reached out to grab Lin Muyu's reins. She giggled and said, "Oh, madam, you haven't been here for a long time?" Wei Chou couldn't help but laugh. "Madam, I didn't expect you to also," Lin Muyu said seriously. "Damn it, I swear on my honor that I really haven't been here before. This is just their professional term." "Is that so?" Wei Chou looked like he didn't believe her. Lin Muyu flipped over and got off the horse. The brothel keeper immediately came up to him and held his hand. She said intimately, "Madam, do you know any girls here? If you want them, just tell me. There's no need to be polite or shy." "Yes." Lin Muyu deliberately propped up his arm and slowly pushed the brothel keeper away. He smiled and said, "Mother, I want to ask, are the girls here, for sale?" "Of course, we are for sale. Otherwise, why would we have customers?" "Madam, look, the best girls here sell for 2 gold kin coins a night. The second-class girls sell for 50 silver kin coins a night. The third-class girls are cheaper, only 10 silver kin coins a night." Lin Muyu's face darkened. "I'm not talking about this kind of sale. Then what kind are you talking about, madam?" "I'm talking about those who sell their bodies directly." The brothel keeper giggled coquettishly. "Madam, you're so bad. The girls here sell their bodies, not their skills. Lin Muyu wanted to die. Wei Chou joked at the side, do the third-class girls cost 10 silver kin coins a night? Do you have any girls that sell for 10 copper kin coins a night? You can consider it. The brothel keeper smiled and said, Madam, you must be joking. Those who sell for 10 copper kin coins a night are not girls, but pigs. Wei Chou was speechless. Chapter 176. Be serious, be serious. Lin Muyu glared at Wei Chou. At the same time, she forced herself to be more serious. She said to the brothel keeper, Mother, I just want to ask, do you have the kind where I can directly buy a contract to sell her? The brothel keeper was stunned. Our ladies are all talented and skilled. If you want to buy one directly, it will be very expensive. What do you intend to do, my lord? What kind do you want? Lin Muyu took a deep breath and said, Don't worry about what I want to do with them. I want the kind that is happy to do things, understand? The brothel keeper laughed. My lord, you want the kind that is passionate and hospitable? Yes, you can say that. Lin Muyu's scalp was already numb. Wei Chou was gloating at the side. The brothel keeper had already realized that a big business was coming. She said, I have a total of 127 ladies in this restaurant. Do you want to call all of them down for my lord to choose? Sure. Okay. The brothel keeper immediately raised her hands and shouted, Ladies upstairs and downstairs, hurry up and receive the guests. Soon, a large group of prostitutes gathered in the lobby. Wei Chou's eyes were glued to them. Lin Muyu was born in a business family. Her father had brought her out to socialize many times since she was an adult. She had also been to these brothels many times, so she had strong self-control. She had never eaten pork before, but she had seen pigs run. The brothel keeper secretly lifted her already sagging breasts and asked with a smile, My lord, the contracts of the ladies here are basically between 300 and 500 Jianghu coins. How many do you want to buy? 50, Lin Muyu said indifferently, Can you give me a discount, 50? The brothel keeper opened her mouth and said with a smile, That many. My lord, you are really generous. If you buy 50, you can get one a day for 2 months. There won't be any duplicates. Lin Muyu glared at her. Shut up. I'm only asking you, how much does one cost if I buy 50? How about 350 Jianghu coins? However, these 350 Jianghu coins are all for me. Whether the girls want to go with you or not is up to them. I love them very much. All right. Lin Muyu nodded. She looked at the group of prostitutes and said, I won't hide it from you all. I'm buying you all because the foster hall is lacking a batch of female prostitutes. After you all leave with me, you might have to serve those soldiers. However, I won't let you all suffer any losses. As long as I buy you, I can give mother 350 Jianghu coins for the money. At the same time, I will also give you 350 Jianghu coins. If you are willing, come over. The brothel keeper was dumbfounded. Sir is really generous. Ladies, you might not be able to earn that much in your lifetime. Hurry up. Instantly, many women had already stepped forward. Their faces were filled with numbness and hypocritical smiles. Lin Muyu naturally knew that they were willing to do anything for money. That was good too, it was a consensual relationship. Not long after, the 50 prostitutes had been selected. Lin Muyu muttered to herself and began to count. She gave the brothel keeper 17 diamond coins and 500 Jianghu coins, then went to the gold bank to exchange for Jianghu coins. Every woman received a heavy bag of Jianghu coins. However, most of them were unwilling to bring Jianghu coins into the foster hall. Instead, they directly deposited them in the gold bank. Just like that, it took more than 2 hours. The sky was already close to dusk. When Lin Muyu brought the 50 gorgeously dressed prostitutes to the foster hall, a group of imperial guards couldn't control themselves. In their eyes, these women were much more interesting than the women in distress that they had brought in the afternoon. Lin Muyu found the centurion in charge of the foster hall and stuffed 1,000 Jin coins into his hands as a reward. He directly exchanged the 50 women who were unwilling to become concubines in the foster hall. The bright moon cast a layer of silver light on the streets. Lin Muyu and Wei Chou rode slowly with the 50 young women in tow. Wei Chou smiled and said, "It seems that after the incident at the Tower of Babel, Sir's methods have matured a lot." Lin Muyu sighed. "A fall into the pit, a gain in your wit. How does Sir plan to settle these women?" "Hire a few carriages and take them to Dragon Rocky Mountain." "Ah, Sir's plan is, many of them are already homeless. If I dismiss them now, many of them will still be captured by others to become concubines, which is equivalent to not being able to save them. Therefore, I plan to build a village at the foot of Dragon Rocky Mountain and settle these homeless women down. I will let them learn how to farm, weave, and be self-sufficient. At the same time, I can use them to attract able-bodied men to marry, so that they can live well. Sir is wise." Wei Chou's eyes were full of respect. At night, 50 Eagle Nest Camp soldiers were sent to protect 500 shields and 50 young women to Dragon Rocky Mountain. Lin Muyu personally escorted them. Although Lanyan City was the imperial capital, Dragon-Seeking Forest was still not safe. The security was extremely poor, especially at night, when bandits and mercenaries were most active. At midnight, they finally arrived at their destination. They could see the lights of Dragon Rocky Mountain in the distance. At the foot of the mountain, a dozen Longdan army camp mercenaries wearing standard armor and holding long halberds stood guard. When they saw Lin Muyu, one of them recognized her and immediately cupped his fists. "Greetings, Commander. Open the door and escort us up the mountain." "Yes, sir." Lin Muyu's gaze swept across them. These mercenaries no longer had the hooliganism of a ruffian. Instead, they looked a little like soldiers. Luo Yu was indeed a talent. It was indeed the right choice to let him be in charge of the training of the Longdan army camp. Before they reached the peak of the mountain, dozens of cavalrymen led by Luo Yu had already greeted them. Luo Yu cupped his fists and smiled. "Sir, you're back?" "Yes, I'm giving everyone some equipment." Lin Muyu waved his hand and the dragon snake shields on the carriage behind him flickered under the light of the fire. Luo Yu could tell with a glance that they were good stuff. He was ecstatic. "This is great, it's like sending charcoal in snowy weather. When we attacked the bandit camp yesterday, many of us were shot and injured. Today, Sir has sent us sturdy shields. This is great. Let's go." "Yes." Luo Yu turned his horse around and rode alongside Lin Muyu. Looking at the many girls behind him, he frowned and said, "Sir, these girls, are they going to be maids up the mountain?" "No, there are no maids in the Longdan army camp." Lin Muyu shook his head and said, "From tomorrow onwards, after training, we will lead everyone to the foot of the mountain to cut down trees and build houses. Within a month, we will build a village under our protection. Is there a problem?" Luo Yu was startled. "As long as we have money, there is no problem. And then let's do it." "Oh right, how is the development of the mercenary group recently?" Luo Yu's face was filled with joy as he said, "Sir, in these 4 days, the Longdan army camp has swept through a total of 3 small mountain strongholds and 2 wandering mercenary groups with less than 200 people. This subordinate has selected talents from the captives and recruited them into the Longdan army camp. Now, we have 274 people." "Good." Lin Muyu faintly smiled. "In terms of funds, is there enough?" "It's a bit not enough, it's fine." Lin Muyu took out 100 diamond coins from her cosmos sack and said with a smile, here's 100,000 Jin coins. Don't spend too sparingly, Luo Yu nodded. Yes, sir. Do your best to recruit people, the more the better. You might as well break the previous selection criteria. Some of the more courageous and upright people can be recruited into the Longdan army camp even if they haven't reached the second level of the human realm. Yes, this subordinate understands. That night, they rested in the Longdan army camp. The next morning, Lin Muyu sent Wei Chou to lead 50 Eagle Nest Camp soldiers back to the camp. He would stay in the Dragon Rocky Mountain for a few days. After all, he was the highest authority here, so he had to get used to the people in the Longdan army camp. As for the group of girls, they had all settled down and were just waiting for the village at the foot of the mountain to be developed. Early in the morning, he sent 20 people to the nearby cities to hire carpenters and architects. Then, he unfolded a map of the dragon-seeking forest on the table. There were many red dots marked on it. Luo Yu frowned and said, "Currently, there are two forces that pose the greatest threat to us. One of them is the Flame Wolves mercenary group, and the other is the bandits of the Purple Qilin Mountain." Flame Wolves mercenary group? Yes. Luo Yu said, the members of the Flame Wolves mercenary group are all wandering mercenaries. They make a living by robbing, killing, and robbing. They often cause trouble to the villages within the territory of the Cloud County. Regarding this, the government of the Cloud County can't do anything. The Flame Wolves mercenary group has gathered almost 3,000 mercenaries and is very powerful. However, the total number of troops stationed in the Cloud County city does not exceed 2,000. Good lord. Lin Muyu held the hilt of the dragon spirit sword and said, 3,000 mercenaries is indeed a lot. It's about 10 times the number of us. If we really fight, our chances of winning are not high. Luo Yu smiled and nodded. Yes, that's why I haven't dared to make a move. However, rumor has it that the leader of the Flame Wolves mercenary group, Fengxi, is already eyeing our Dragon Rocky Mountain. It's said that he is determined to get us. In the next 2 days, the Flame Wolves mercenary group will definitely attack Dragon Rocky Mountain. That's great, a cold light flashed in Lin Muyu's eyes. Then I'll stay on Dragon Rocky Mountain for the next few days and deal with this Fengxi. After that, Lin Muyu gave her original sword, the Burning Prairie Sword, to Luo Yu. With Luo Yu's strength, she was worthy of this mysterious rank treasure sword. Of course, Lin Muyu's Dragon Spirit Sword was even sharper. Any weapon below the mysterious rank would not be able to clash head-on with the Dragon Spirit Sword. Otherwise, the sword would break and the person would die. This was the strength of a saint-rank weapon. After nightfall, the cold wind blew. Lin Muyu sat peacefully in the leader's room, cultivating the Forging Dragon Bone Remnant Scroll and the Spirit Pulse technique. As his strength and soul continued to increase, his thirst for power grew. Without enough power, he would not be able to stand in this world, not to mention changing anything. Knock, 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 a knocking sound came from the door. Luo Yu said, "Sir, I just received a letter from Luo Yu. The Flame Wolves mercenary group's 1,500 men have already left their encampment and are heading straight for us. They will arrive at Dragon Rocky Mountain around midnight." Good. Lin Muyu sat up and said, "Arrange for the ambush." Yes. Chapter 177. There were not many people on Dragon Rocky Mountain. If they were surrounded, they would be in a desperate situation. Therefore, if they took the initiative to attack, they might be able to win. If not, they would definitely lose. Lin Muyu could not be said to be well versed in the art of war, but at least she understood such a simple principle. The Flame Wolf mercenaries' camp was about a 3-hour infantry journey from Dragon Rocky Mountain. Based on her understanding, the Flame Wolf mercenaries' camp was not very rich. They did not have more than 300 warhorses. Therefore, it was impossible for them to attack purely on cavalry. They could only advance with cavalry and infantry. Luo Yu pointed at the map and said, "They have a lot of people, so they will definitely take the official road. So here. Broken Claw Gorge is a place they must pass through. Broken Claw Gorge is a dangerous place, so it's a very good place for an ambush." Lin Muyu held a cup of fragrant tea to warm herself and said with a smile, "Then choose Broken Claw Gorge for an ambush. Bring more flags and bows. Try to defeat these 1,500 people with the least amount of casualties." Okay. Not long after, Dragon Rocky Mountain was brightly lit. Lin Muyu was a rich man in Lanyan City, so the Longdan army camp did not lack money. All of them were cavalry, and each of them carried bows, spears, and swords. They could attack from afar, on horseback, or on the ground. This was also the greatest characteristic of the Longdan army camp. Their individual combat abilities were very strong. Moreover, there were two Heaven State warriors, Lin Muyu and Luo Yu, leading them. This made them even more unstoppable. Only 70 people were left to guard the mountain. The other 200 people got on their horses and went down the mountain under Luo Yu's orders. The cold wind blew on her skin, and it hurt like knives. Lin Muyu lifted the cloak of the temple battle robe to cover her face. She allowed the warhorse to move forward with the team, but she had a different feeling in her heart. The people around her obeyed her orders, and this was the army she truly controlled. This was the first time she personally led an attack, and she could only win. In less than 2 hours, they arrived at Broken Claw Gorge. As the city's name suggested, Broken Claw Gorge was like a sharp claw protruding from the ground. The cliffs were very rugged and steep. Luo Yu and the others stopped and surrounded Lin Muyu, waiting for specific orders. After Lin Muyu carefully examined the surrounding terrain, she simply said, "Luo Yu, lead 100 people and split into 2 groups to go up the mountain. Prepare stones, bows, and flags on the cliffs. When all of their troops enter Broken Claw Gorge, start using bows, arrows, and rolling stones. Also, don't forget to wave the flags and cheer them on. Don't let them know how many people we have. The other 100 people, follow me and hide in the forest at the side. Once they lose their formation, we'll kill them." "Yes, Commander." Everyone's eyes lit up. 200 people against 1,500 people. What kind of challenge was that? However, Lin Muyu was brimming with confidence. Her 200 men were well-trained and well-equipped, while the other party's 1,500 men were a group of wandering mercenaries. To put it bluntly, they were a motley crew. Everyone hid in the ambush. The cold wind whistled in the air like the angry wailing of ghosts, covering all movements. The snorts of the warhorses had even disappeared with the wind. After waiting for a long time, suddenly, a white flag fluttered left and right on the cliff. Lin Muyu immediately gripped the dragon spirit sword tightly and shouted in a low voice, "Everyone, get on your horses. They're here. Listen to my command and prepare to attack." Yes. The 100 Longdan army camp mercenaries behind her got on their horses. Their faces were full of fighting spirit. Most of them were human realm and earth realm cultivators, so they were already very strong. Now that they were facing a group of wandering mercenaries, they were even more confident and eager to fight. Finally, the sound of horses galloping could be heard in the wind. In the distance, on the official road below the Broken Claw Gorge, a group of people appeared. This group of mercenaries were actually holding torches and lanterns as they moved forward. Lin Muyu couldn't help but snicker. These idiots, aren't they purposely exposing their position? They really are a motley crew. Who's their leader? Lin Muyu asked. Behind her, a mercenary said, "It's Luo Jian, who's at the first firmament of Earth Realm. He's the vice-captain of the Flame Wolves mercenaries. Every time they go out, he's the vanguard. Alright, capture Luo Jian alive." Yes. In the cold wind, the Flame Wolves mercenaries slowly entered the vicinity of Broken Claw Gorge. Just when the last group of them entered Broken Claw Gorge, war drums suddenly sounded. Arrows fell from the cliffs on both sides like rain, and huge rocks fell from the sky. It was like a disaster. At the same time, at least dozens of Longdan army camps' war flags were waving on Broken Claw Gorge, and their shouts soared into the sky. Damn! Lin Muyu grinned. Luo Yu was actually able to make such a big movement, which was very surprising to him. Many people from the Flame Wolves mercenaries quickly died, and their faces were full of anger. In the crowd, Vice Captain Luo Jian held his sword, urged his horse, and shouted, "The way back has been cut off. Those despicable people from Longdan army camp. Brothers, follow me and charge forward. Ignore their ambush, let's go straight to the root of the problem and destroy their nest." More than 1,000 mercenaries rushed forward at the same time, but each and every one of them looked like they had thrown away their helmets and armor. Dang! Lin Muyu pulled out the dragon spirit sword and shouted, "Kill!" She took the lead and opened the wall of the gourd to protect herself and her horse. The other side immediately sent out a large group of soldiers with spears at least 3 meters long to intercept them. This group of wandering mercenaries had some ability, at least they knew how to deal with cavalry. However, Lin Muyu was not an ordinary cavalry. Nay, the warhorse neighed and leaped into the air. Lin Muyu brandished his long sword and the dragon spirit sword sliced through iron like it was mud. Caw 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 sounds could be heard as more than a dozen spears were broken. In the next moment, he had already charged into the crowd. He raised his long sword and slashed down from above, directly chopping off the arm of a wandering mercenary. Awesome! Lin Muyu secretly admired the sharpness of this saint-rank sword. When he held the burning prairie sword, he had never felt so comfortable. He spurred his horse forward, and in a flash, he had killed more than a dozen people. Behind him, the mercenaries from Longdan army camp also rushed forward, and the light of their martial spirits was constantly flashing, and the situation quickly became a crushing one. Bastard! Not far away, Luo Jian held a spear in his hand, and the power of his martial spirit appeared on his shoulder. He spurred his horse forward, and before he got close, he shook his spear, and the spearhead was like a poisonous snake trying to swallow Lin Muyu's neck. This kid's spear skills looked very ruthless. But Lin Muyu's reaction speed was faster, and he gently moved his head to avoid the attack, and the spear stabbed into the wall of the gourd. Taking advantage of this opportunity, he gently waved his dragon spirit sword, and with a "kacha" sound, Luo Jian's spear was directly cut in half. How can this be? Luo Jian retreated, but there was no way out. Lin Muyu rushed forward and fiercely punched him, and with a "bang" sound, Luo Jian slightly swayed on his horse, and was immediately grabbed by Lin Muyu and placed on the back of the horse. She shouted, "Luo Jian has been caught by me, do you still want to continue to struggle?" Her martial spirit shone brightly, and an intense do-chi appeared around Lin Muyu's body, shooting up into the sky. Immediately, the group of mercenaries were dumbstruck. No one had thought that this would be the result, and even more so, that their vice-captain would be captured in just one round. Luo Yu had already rushed down from the cliff with the burning prairie sword in hand, and loudly shouted, "Those who put down their weapons will be spared from death, dang." Dang, spears and swords fell to the ground. Sure enough, they were just a motley crew. The Longdan army camp had only suffered a very small loss, but they had managed to capture almost all of the 1,200+ people. Lin Muyu put Luo Jian down from his horse, and Luo Jian's face was full of shame, and he said, "My skills are not as good as yours. If you want to kill me, then kill me." "Who wants to kill you?" Lin Muyu glanced at him, and said, "Luo Jian, are you willing to surrender and join the Longdan army camp? Don't humiliate me. If you want to kill me, then kill me." Luo Jian's eyes burned. Lin Muyu couldn't help but laugh, and said word by word, "Are you trying to express your moral integrity to me? Tell me, your Flame Wolf mercenary group burned, killed, and plundered, provoking the wrath of the heavens and the resentment of the people. You indiscriminately killed the innocent, and used your strength to bully the weak. What qualifications do you scum have to talk about moral integrity with me? Right now, I'll give you a chance to turn over a new leaf, and become a mercenary that doesn't let down your conscience. Are you willing to join the Longdan army camp? Luo Jian's eyes flashed, every word from Lin Muyu stabbed at his sore spot. No matter how strong he was still a despicable wandering mercenary, a person who killed the innocent, and a beast. How could he talk about moral integrity? Your Longdan army camp might not be full of good people, right? In this world, good people don't live long. Luo Jian suddenly said with a sneer. Lin Muyu also smiled, and pointed behind her, and said, the Longdan army camp will never bully the weak, nor will we indiscriminately kill the innocent for money. If there is, we will kill without mercy. Whether you believe it or not, the Longdan army camp will definitely do it. Luo Jian sighed, and finally made a decision. Fine, I'll use my cheap life to see if you, Lin Muyu, can really do what you say and be a mercenary that doesn't let down his conscience. And you will get what you want. Lin Muyu was naturally very confident. Why would wandering mercenaries burn, kill, and loot? It was because they were poor, but the Longdan army camp would not be poor. They had an endless income from the Imperial Chamber of Commerce, enough to support a small elite army. The remaining nearly 1,300 wandering mercenaries were all brought back to the Dragon Rocky Mountain, and nearly 742 of them were selected to join the Longdan army camp. The rest were sent away after collecting their weapons and armors. At least, they could not be used by Fengxi again. In the afternoon, a group of mercenaries from the Longdan army camp drank to their heart's content at the celebration banquet. Only Luo Jian sat sullenly at the side. Lin Muyu walked up to him and asked with a smile, "What are you thinking about?" "I'm thinking," Luo Jian wanted to say something but stopped. His eyes swept over Lin Muyu and smiled, "Do you think that Commander Fengxi will let this go?" "Lin Muyu, your celebration banquet is too early. You have to know that the real elites of the Flame Dragon mercenary group are the remaining 1,500 people." "I know." Lin Muyu smiled slightly, "But it's okay, sooner or later they will be my people. Luo Yu, you will be responsible for the normal training of the Longdan army camp. I will go out for a few days." "Yes." Luo Yu cupped her fists. Luo Jian's eyes were a little dull, and he was silent. Chapter 178. Xian Mist Town was a peaceful town located in the northeast corner of Yunzhong Commandery. Xian Mist Town was famous for its wine made from 5 grains. Although the town was not large, it had more than 20 pubs, which attracted a lot of paladins and wandering mercenaries. At the same time, Xian Mist Town was also the base of the Flame Wolf mercenary group. Early in the morning, a light drizzle fell from the sky, moistening everything in the small town. The continuous drizzle fell on the stone pavement and the soil, nurturing new life for the next spring. The pedestrians on the road looked hurried. A few burly men with heavy battle axes on their backs were asking about the price of ale in the tavern, but they just shook their heads. They didn't have enough money on them, so they wanted to find a cheaper tavern. In the drizzle, a young man in a yellow straw raincoat walked slowly. He raised his head and lifted his cloak, revealing a delicate and handsome face. He stopped in front of a tavern and immediately attracted the attention of the lady boss of the tavern. She went up to him and said with a smile, "Young master, do you want to stay here or drink?" He smiled slightly. It was a very beautiful smile, but also a little immature, and said, "I want to ask, where is the headquarters of the Flame Wolf mercenary group?" "The Flame Wolf mercenary group?" The proprietress was stunned for a moment, then stopped smiling and said, "Young master, you want to join the Flame Wolf mercenary group, right?" "Yes, he." Lord Fengshi lives in the courtyard at the northernmost part of this street. But young master, you don't look like a wandering mercenary, do you? Thank you. Lin Muyu cupped her hands in gratitude, pulled down her cloak, and continued to walk in the rain. At this moment, a carriage suddenly galloped in front of them. The coachman's face was full of ferocity. He raised his horsewhip from afar and shouted, "Get out of the way, bastard!" Whoosh! The horsewhip flew in an arc towards Lin Muyu's neck. However, Lin Muyu's speed was even faster. She had already raised her left hand and grabbed the end of the whip with a "pa" sound. With a sudden tug, the coachman was forcefully pulled down from the carriage. It was too dangerous for a coachman to dare to drive a horse so recklessly in a small town. Bang! The coachman fell to the ground and fell flat on his face. His face was covered in mud and water. He hurriedly climbed up and cursed, "Bastard, how dare you be so impudent! Brothers, get off the carriage and chop him up." Immediately, several strong men jumped out of the carriage, carrying broadaxes and long swords. Each one of them had a fierce expression on their faces, and one of them even summoned his martial spirit. It was a mad wolf martial spirit, roughly 7th or 8th grade. Raising his battle axe, he chopped down on Tang Wulin's head, and angrily cursed, "Dare to block this elder's path, courting death." The battle axe was coming at a rapid speed, but Lin Muyu didn't dodge. With a light shout, the indigo gourd walls were released, and with a "pang" sound, the big man was sent flying along with the battle axe. On the other side, a mercenary suddenly thrust his long sword at Lin Muyu's chest, but he didn't think that Lin Muyu's movements would be faster. She dodged the attack, and with a sweep of her right hand, the hilt of her long sword heavily struck the mercenary's chest. Bang! The mercenary let out a muffled groan, and retreated a few steps, gasping for breath. Lin Muyu lifted a corner of her cloak, revealing a pair of frightening eyes, and indifferently said, "Don't provoke me, or else I can't guarantee that I won't be able to hold back next time." The few mercenaries were dumbstruck as they watched Lin Muyu's martial spirit gradually dissipate. None of them dared to say a word, and could only stare blankly as Lin Muyu turned around and left. At this time, at the corner of the street, a monkey-like man saw this scene, and hastily jumped onto his horse, and madly galloped towards the end of the street. He dismounted in front of a house with a green gate, and quickly rushed into the main hall, and loudly said, "Captain, not good, Lin Muyu is here." In the hall, a young martial artist around 30 years old, wearing light armor, was sipping tea, and frowning, he said, "Wang Ho, you're still not calm. How could Lin Muyu dare to come to our Flame Wolf mercenaries' territory alone? But I really saw him, and his martial spirit is a green gourd." "Green gourd?" Fengshi raised his head to look at him, and said with a smile, "Green gourd martial spirit of the 10th grade, there are countless people in Lanyan City who have a green gourd martial spirit, if not 10,000, there are at least 8,000 people who have a green gourd martial spirit. How can you determine that he is Lin Muyu with just a green gourd martial spirit?" Monkey Wang's face was pale. He gasped for breath and said, "But, his green gourd is an indigo gourd. Moreover, it is infused with Do Qi instead of Zhen Qi. I can see it clearly. He is coming towards us." "What?" Fengshi finally could not sit still any longer. He stood up and bellowed, "Men, gather the troops immediately and get the archers ready. Also, place 300 executioners on both sides of the hall. I want to see what this Lin Muyu is trying to do by sending himself to our doorstep." "Yes." The green door was covered with dried moss, dong dong dong, rhythmically knocked on the door, and a mercenary carefully stepped forward to open the door. The moment he opened the door, he took a few steps back, his face was full of vigilance. Outside the door, Lin Muyu shook off the rain on her body, revealing the dignified temple armor under the straw raincoat. The white robe on her back made the mercenaries feel a chill in their hearts, as if the armor was bestowed with some kind of terrible power, making them tremble. Is Captain Fengxi at home? Lin Muyu faced the group of mercenaries who pointed their spears at her, and said with a smile, "Is this how the Flame Wolves mercenaries treat their guests?" At this time, Fengxi's voice came from the hall, "All of you stand down." It's Master Lin Muyu, I didn't know you came from afar, please forgive me for not welcoming you. Master, please come into the hall for a chat. Many thanks. Lin Muyu's gaze swept across the surrounding group of mercenaries, and just like that, she stepped into the core of the Flame Wolves mercenaries' encampment. Using the Spirit Pulse technique, she could sense at least 500 people surrounding the area, and there were even archers lying in ambush behind the surrounding walls. There were even a few young archers who had already poked their longbows out of the wall and pointed them at her. With a slight smile, Lin Muyu sat down without hesitation. Fengxi's face was cloudy, and he asked, "Master Lin Muyu, may I know why you've come this time?" "To lobby you." "Lobby me for what?" Fengxi was stunned. "To lobby you to give up your position as captain, and bring your people to join the Longdan army camp." Lin Muyu smiled slightly. "What?" Fengxi's eyebrows raised, and he said angrily, "Lin Muyu, do you think my Flame Wolves mercenaries have no people? If you come here alone, do you believe that I won't turn you into minced meat in minutes?" I do. Lin Muyu smiled and cupped her hands, saying, "I ask Master Fengxi to spare my life, and let me finish what I have to say first, then it won't be too late to turn me into minced meat." Fengxi held back his anger and said, "Fine, tell me, my Flame Wolves mercenaries still have at least 2,000 elites, why should we be at your mercy? If you can't give me a reason that can convince me, then don't even think of walking out of here alive today." "Fine." Lin Muyu said lightly, "The empire is divided into 12 provinces, and Lanyan City is located in the North Ridge province, so the mercenary world in the North Ridge province is the most prosperous. The total number of mercenary bands in the North Ridge province is uncountable, but there are 8 big mercenary bands. The first-ranked North Ridge mercenary group has over 10,000 soldiers, and the second-ranked Sacred Flame mercenary group also has 9,000 men. In the Cloud Central Commandery, besides you and me, there is another powerful mercenary band, the Flame Dragon mercenary group. They have a total of 7,500 men, over 2,000 warhorses, and are well equipped. They have long been eyeing your Flame Wolves mercenary group. Don't you feel uneasy, Captain Fengxi?" Fengxi took a deep breath, and his expression was very ugly. Lin Muyu's few words seemed to have pierced his vitals, leaving him powerless to refute. The Flame Dragon mercenary group is but a plate of loose sand, nothing to fear." He snorted coldly, and then said, "Master Lin Muyu is so calm and composed. Do you think that after the Flame Wolves mercenary group is destroyed, the Flame Dragon mercenary group will let go of your Longdan army camp? They won't." Lin Muyu shook her head and said with a smile, "Therefore, divided we are weak, united we are strong. This is the reason why I came today." "Oh?" Fengxi couldn't help but smile, and said, "Since you want our Flame Dragon mercenary group to join the Longdan army camp, then tell me, what qualifications do you have to make us join you?" Lin Muyu put up 3 fingers, and said with a faint smile, "First, the Longdan army camp's base, Dragon Rocky Mountain, is dangerous, easy to defend, and hard to attack. Second, the Longdan army camp has enough food and weapons, and we can buy another batch of warhorses, which will be enough to fight against the Flame Dragon mercenary group. Third, the Longdan army camp has a few very powerful generals, including Luoyu, who has stepped into the Heaven Realm. Master Fengxi, do you have these?" Fengxi was actually speechless, and said, "Even so, our Flame Wolves mercenary group has no reason to join you." "No, you do." Lin Muyu smiled faintly, "You don't have money, whether it is weapons or warhorses, they are very scarce. Look at the weapons used by the people outside, many of them have been seriously worn out. Do you want your brothers to take such equipment and risk their lives against the Flame Dragon mercenary group?" Fengxi was speechless, and said, Our Flame Wolves mercenary group has rarely plundered in the past half a year, and only recuperated in Xian Mist Town. Otherwise, Lin Muyu smiled, Commander Fengxi, since you don't want to do things that go against your conscience, why don't you join the Longdan army camp? As long as you join the Longdan army camp, I promise to equip each of you with warhorses, excellent weapons, and suitable armor. I will keep my word. Really? Fengxi was a little bit tempted, and when he said these words, he was a little bit regretful. He shook his head and laughed at himself. Poor people are short of ambition. Lin Muyu couldn't help laughing. The Longdan army camp never plunders people, nor does it indiscriminately kill the innocent. Isn't this enough for you to join us? As long as you join the Longdan army camp, I can make you the deputy commander. How about it? But if you must be the enemy of the Longdan army camp, then. Lin Muyu pointed at the military rank on her collar, and said with a threatening smile, that is to be the enemy of the whole empire. Even if you kill me here, my brothers Feng Jixing and Qin Lei will lead tens of thousands of people to flatten your Flame Wolves mercenary group. Alas, Fengxi finally couldn't bear this kind of psychological pressure. His eyes turned red, and he said in pain, Then how can I believe your promise to me that you have enough capital to provide equipment for 2,000 people? Lin Muyu reached into her Qianquan bag, took out a handful of diamond coins, and sprinkled them on the table. Is this proof enough? This, Fengxi was shocked, and the mercenaries at the side were also surprised. They were actually of civilian origin, and after becoming mercenaries, they earned a lot of money, but it was only in gold coins. They rarely saw diamond coins. Alright, when do we set off for Dragon Rocky Mountain? Let's do it today. It's better to leave earlier than later. Okay. Fengxi's eyes revealed a trace of coldness. Then how can you be sure that I won't play tricks, take the opportunity to take down Dragon Rocky Mountain, and replace the Longdan army camp? Lin Muyu smiled faintly, and slowly opened the 5 fingers of her right hand. A small indigo gourd slowly rose from her palm, and the mighty fighting energy turned into light purple 7 luminaries profound energy. For a moment, a strong wind raged, blowing the surrounding people back. His eyes were indifferent, and he said with a smile, Because I can easily kill you, so why should I worry? Chapter 179. While the drizzle was still falling, a large group of Fire Wolf mercenaries had already carried their weapons and led their horses out of Xian Mist Town. This also meant that Lin Muyu's persuasion operation this time had been a success. Simply by explaining the pros and cons of the situation, Lin Muyu had taken down the remaining 2,000 people of Wind Creek Town without shedding any blood. Lin Muyu put on her straw raincoat again and rode a horse side by side with Fengxi. Behind them, the mercenaries were either walking or pulling carts. The carts stored the mercenary group's assets. The Flame Wolf mercenary group was really poor. They even brought tables and chairs with them. Lin Muyu didn't say much. It was a good thing to run a household. I heard that the captain is also a commoner. Fengxi pulled his cloak to cover his face and said with a smile. This young captain of the Flame Wolf mercenary group now respected and feared Lin Muyu at the same time. So he was very careful when he spoke. Yes. Lin Muyu nodded and said with a smile, But Sir Fengxi, you don't need to worry. I'm different from those people in the capital. In my eyes, commoners and nobles are the same. Everyone is born equal. Fengxi couldn't help but be taken aback. This subordinate has heard that Milord saved His Majesty and Princess Qin Yin at Deer Cry Park, and was even adopted by His Majesty as his godson. With Milord's current status, why do you still want to participate in this mercenary competition? That status is given by others. If others want to take it away, they can take it away at any time. Lin Muyu shook her arm, sprinkling the rain on the mountain road. Fengxi smiled, Sir, can our Longdan army camp really be honorable and fair? Lin Muyu turned to look at him with a frightening light in her eyes. She said with certainty, "You have to ask yourself. Fengshi, if you have the word chivalry in your heart, our Longdan army camp will certainly be different. If every mercenary has the word chivalry in their heart, Longdan army camp will naturally not be reduced to those mercenary groups that kill innocent people." "Yes." Fengshi nodded heavily, his eyes shining. "Sir, I understand. Help me pick out those bloodthirsty mercenaries from the Flame Wolves mercenary group who kill for pleasure. Give them gold coins when we return to Dragon Rocky Mountain and let them make a living on their own. The Longdan army camp doesn't need anyone who has killed innocent people." "Yes, this subordinate will do as you say." They arrived at Dragon Rocky Mountain at noon. Luo Yu had already received the news and led a group of people down the mountain to welcome them. Fengshi led everyone up the mountain with a dignified demeanor. His gaze landed on Luo Jian and he couldn't help but sneer. Vice Commander Luo Jian seems to be enjoying himself. "Have you already put on the Longdan army camp's badge?" Luo Jian's face turned pale. "Leader, I was also forced to do this, really?" Fengshi's gaze was cold. He didn't say anything else and urged his horse to leave. Lin Muyu and Luo Yu looked at each other and smiled. It seemed that the integration of the Longdan army camp and the Flame Wolves mercenary group was also a big problem. If it wasn't handled well, they were afraid that there would be internal strife before the Flame Dragons mercenary group even attacked. In the afternoon, they had their meal as usual. The food in the Longdan army camp was very simple, no different from that in the army. This was something that Lin Muyu paid special attention to. Every meal was basically a few large flatbreads and a bowl of sparse meat soup. They would eat meat once every 3 days, from top to bottom. Even the leader, Lin Muyu, held a bowl of meat soup and sat with Luo Yu, chewing on the flatbreads. Fengshi carried the meat soup and sat beside Lin Muyu. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "Sir, we eat this every day. Didn't you say that the Longdan army camp doesn't lack money? Why is the food so bad?" Lin Muyu also smiled. "Fengshi, this is the standard of food for the royal army in Yanlan City. So, our Longdan army camp will also use this standard. After all, our Longdan army camp isn't a mercenary group that plunder for a living. If we feed the soldiers' mouths, I'm afraid we won't be able to feed them in the future. Also, the harder it is, the stronger they will be in the future." "Yes." A look of respect appeared on Fengshi's face. He took a sip of the meat soup and smiled, hearing what Sir said. "This meat soup seems to have become fresh and delicious." Lin Muyu and Luo Yu both laughed. Fengshi ate and asked, "Luo Yu, what realm is your cultivation?" "Level 60 Heaven Realm." Luo Yu put down the flatbreads and smiled. "Heaven Realm." Fengshi's expression darkened and he said with a desolate expression, "Sir, Luo Yu is a Heaven Realm elite, but she is only a vice commander in the Longdan army camp. I, Fengshi, am only a second Heaven Realm war elder. Sigh, I'm not worthy of being a vice commander." Luo Yu couldn't help but laugh. She patted his shoulder and said, "Brother Fengshi, don't be so depressed. You can slowly improve your strength through cultivation. You can be a vice commander because of your prestige. If you weren't here at Dragon Rocky Mountain, do you think these 2,000 Fire Wolves mercenaries would obediently stay here and listen to our orders?" Lin Muyu also smiled and said, "Luo Yu is right. In the future, the Longdan army camp will need your help, Fengshi." Fengshi put down the bowl of soup and cupped his fists with a burning gaze. "This subordinate is willing to work for Sir. All right, let's choose the people who will stay in the afternoon." "Yes." After lunch, Fengshi chose one by one. From the 1,900+ people in the Fire Wolves mercenary group, he chose 1,442 people to stay. The rest were each given 20 Jinin coins as a settlement fee and were allowed to leave on their own. Most of these people had killed innocent people, and many of their hands were already stained with blood. Lin Muyu wasn't willing to let these people stay in the Longdan army camp. Once a person's murderous nature was cultivated, they would probably lose their humanity. On the other hand, Fengxi was under a great deal of pressure. Many of these people were mercenaries who had followed him for many years. Although they had killed people like flies, they were still brothers. Many of them cried when they left. Just like that, the 1,442 new blood and the original 742 people joined the Longdan army camp. After absorbing the 2,000-plus people in the Fire Wolves mercenary group, the Longdan army camp now had 2,458 people. This number could already be considered a very impressive force. As long as Luo Yu and Fengxi trained them over time, the combat strength of the Longdan army camp would definitely be renewed. In the afternoon, a huge signboard slowly rose up and was hung in the main hall that served as the headquarters of the army. This hall was originally remodeled from the main altar of the House of Chivalry. All the luxurious furnishings that were originally set up inside were all removed and replaced with a structure similar to that of the army's central military tent. There were many everlasting lamps and 10 guards. The signboard glowed with a dazzling luster under the sunlight, reflecting the 3 large words, Jiedu Hall. This was the name that Luo Yu came up with. Jiedu, it just happened to reflect the ancient military position of China, Jiedu. It represented a kind of authority to control the army. At the same time, the Jiedu Hall also had a meaning of control. Sir, this is the classification of the military ranks in the Longdan army camp that I have thought of. Luo Yu handed over a scroll. On it, it listed the military ranks that he had set up for the Longdan army camp. It was very detailed: Level 1, Regiment Commander, Highest Commander Level 2, Deputy Regiment Commander, Secondary Commander. The 3rd level, Dragon Commander, has the power to command 1,000 men. Level 4, Tiger Commander, commanding 500 people. Level 5, Wolf Commander, commanding 100 people. Level 6, Sergeant, commanding 10 people. Level 7, Corporal, commanding 5 people. Level 8, Elite Soldier. Level 9, by Soldier. After Lin Muyu finished reading, she nodded approvingly. The classification is very detailed. How exactly should we implement it? Luo Yu cupped his fists and smiled. Using contributions to promote one's military rank, with clear rewards and punishments to boost morale. Currently, there are only 2 Dragon Commander positions. Let me and Sir Fengxi take up the positions. Once there are other generals with outstanding contributions, the 2 of us will just give up our positions. All the Tiger Commander and Wolf Commander positions will temporarily be vacant. Alright, let's do that. Lin Muyu nodded in agreement. Fengxi looked at Luo Yu respectfully and said, Sir, Luo Yu was born a commoner, but you seem to be so familiar with the army's structure. You can even be called a good general. I wonder, where did you learn so much? Luo Yu blushed and said respectfully, Actually, I won't hide it from the 2 of you. Although I was born a commoner, it was only because my family had declined. Luo Yu's ancestor was ranked 2nd in Soaring Clouds Pavilion. Soaring Clouds Pavilion? Fengxi was shocked. Could it be that Sir Luo Yu's ancestor was Luo Tonghai, ranked 2nd in Soaring Clouds Pavilion's 26 meritorious subjects? Luo Yu nodded lightly and said, It's a pity that none of us descendants can become great people. We have brought shame to our ancestors' name. Speaking of which, it's really embarrassing. Lin Muyu smiled slightly. It's all right. There are many opportunities to make contributions in this life. Luo Yu's eyes were burning as he looked at Lin Muyu and said, Sir, Luo Yu would like to ask you a question. Go ahead. Sir, will our Longdan army camp continue to exist as mercenaries, or will we one day fight for the Qin Empire? Lin Muyu took a deep breath and said, If the world really needs us to stand up for ourselves, then the Longdan army camp will definitely rush to the battlefield. This is also the reason why I established the Longdan army camp. Don't worry, Luo Yu. As long as you are willing to work hard, you will definitely have the opportunity to make contributions to the Qin Empire. You can even become a famous general like your ancestor. Luo Yu's body trembled slightly. His eyes were filled with fanaticism as he cupped his fists excitedly and said, "Subordinate Luo Yu swears to follow Sir until death." Lin Muyu nodded in satisfaction. At this moment, he finally understood the rules of this world and gradually learned how to manage people. What Luo Yu needed was a chance to make contributions. He wanted to become a famous general, while Fengxi needed a strong backing and someone to point him in the right direction. Now that Lin Muyu had provided them with what they needed the most, the two of them would naturally repay him with their lives. The discussion continued until late at night, when Luo Yu reminded him, "My lord, we're about to purchase 2,000 horses from the western regions. This subordinate has already arranged for the horses to be delivered to Dragon Rocky Mountain in about 7 days. Each horse costs 80 Jianyin coins, so that's a total of 160,000 Jianyin coins. Including the saddles, horseshoes, fodder, etc., I'm afraid that we won't be able to afford them without 200,000 Jianyin coins." Understood. Lin Muyu opened his Cosmos sack and took out another 300 diamond coins. He handed them all to Luo Yu. His heart ached. There were only 60 diamond coins left in the sack. He felt extremely poor. Raising a powerful mobile army was indeed not something an ordinary person could afford. However, Lin Muyu thought of the 100 bottles of Dream of Extreme Peaks that were auctioned in the Imperial Chamber of Commerce. They had not received the money yet, so it should be enough. Chapter 180. The next day, the warm sunlight shone on Lanyan City, making the white bricks of the city look even whiter. Lin Muyu led the horse and entered the imperial merchant firm with a weary face. "Big brother Yu." Jin Xiaotang's voice seemed to have a certain appeal. Although Lin Muyu knew that this was her business strategy, he had unconsciously treated Jin Xiaotang as a younger sister. He shook his head and laughed at himself. He was 2F** king immersed in his role. Here, the average transaction price of 100 bottles of Dream of the Zenith last time was 7,700 Jianyin coins, so we got a total of 770,000 Jianyin coins. After deducting the 10% handling fee, we need to pay you a total of 700,000 Jianyin coins. Big brother Yu, do the math. There are a total of 700 diamond coins here, all prepared for you. Looking at the large pile of diamond coins glistening under the light, Lin Muyu secretly praised. The imperial merchant firm was indeed not short of money. This was the economic center of Lanyan City. From high-end weapons and medicine to rice and cloth that were close to the people's livelihood, the imperial merchant firm alone supported almost half of Lanyan City's economy. It was no wonder that Jin Xiaotang's status in Lanyan City was so outstanding that she felt like she could summon wind and rain. However, this beautiful girl knew how to hide her strength and bide her time. She did not offend anyone and only focused on business operations. Stuffing piles of diamond coins into the Qiankun bag, Lin Muyu's heart was filled with happiness. Jin Xiaotang tilted her head and watched him collect the money. Suddenly, her eyes fell on the dragon spirit sword on his back. She couldn't help but be stunned. She opened her small mouth and said, "Big brother Yu, you recast a weapon?" "Yes." "What's the name of this sword?" "The dragon spirit sword. It was forged from that stubborn stone of yours and fused with the 10,000-year dragon snake soul." It looked so powerful. Jin Xiaotang was in high spirits and said with a smile, "That. Big brother Yu, can you let Xiaotang see the sharpness of this dragon spirit sword? I can feel that. This sword must be very sharp, right?" "Well, how do you want to see it?" Lin Muyu asked with a smile. Jin Xiaotang thought for a moment, then smiled and said, "Our Imperial Chamber of Commerce's shield shop has recently received a batch of shields with excellent defense. How about this? I'll have someone send over a shield, and you can try it out? All right. Jin Xiaotang immediately opened the door and said to the people outside, Uncle Wang, have the owner of the shield shop deliver the fire armor shield that he is most proud of. Humph, yesterday I heard him brag that this shield is the hardest thing in the world. No weapon can harm it, and even the Emperor's desolation sword can't cut it. All right, first young miss, please wait a moment. Not long after, a burly man walked in with a giant shield that had flames lingering around it. This burly man was the owner of the shield shop. He only wore a thin shirt in the middle of winter, and his chest hair was exposed. He looked very domineering, and could be said to be the overlord of the shop owners. He casually walked into the back hall, and placed the shield on the ground with a dang sound. He smiled and said, Miss Tang, what's wrong? What kind of weapon did you find to break my fire armor shield? Don't say I didn't warn you. If you can't cut it, I won't be responsible if your weapon breaks. Jin Xiaotang smiled slightly and said, Uncle Zhou, what's the point of just testing the shield? Why don't we make a bet? Bet? All right, Miss Xiaotang, what do you want to bet? Jin Xiaotang blinked and said, how about this, if I can cut the fire armor shield, I'll increase my share of the profits from the sale of your shields from 10% to 20%. The owner's eyes were immediately filled with passion. What if I can't cut it? Jin Xiaotang covered her mouth and laughed, if you can't cut it, I won't take a single copper coin from your shop's rent in the future. How about it? The owner was very happy and said with the shield in his hand, all right, it's a deal. At the side, Lin Muyu said, can I add a bargaining chip? What bargaining chip? If I can cut this fire armor shield, shopkeeper Zhou will give me 200 superior grade shields. How about it? Shopkeeper Zhou raised his thick eyebrows, as you say. I have confidence in my shields. All right, please hold the shield well. Be careful, don't hurt yourself. Don't worry, come on. Shopkeeper Zhou shouted in a low voice. His sea of energy sank, and he stood there with the shield in his hand. He actually gave off the feeling of an immovable mountain. Lin Muyu couldn't help but sigh. The imperial capital was indeed full of hidden dragons and crouching tigers. This small shop owner actually had the cultivation of the second level of the earth realm. Clang! The dragon spirit sword was unsheathed, and the blade shone brightly. Lin Muyu held the sword with one hand, and battle energy surged into it. In an instant, the dragon spirit sword shone brightly, and there was actually a dragon snake circling around the sword. Saint Beast Soul. Jin Xiaotang's mouth fell open, and she said, it really is a saint-grade soul. Hee, Uncle Zhou, you have to be careful. Lin Muyu leaped forward, and her body spun in the air. She swung the sword with one hand, and the dragon spirit sword drew a beautiful arc in the air. With overwhelming battle energy, it directly landed on the fire armor shield. Kacha! The sound was very clear. The sword swept past, and in the next moment, Lin Muyu had already sheathed the sword. Clang! It was as if the dragon spirit sword had never been unsheathed. In the time it took for a spark to fly off a flint, shopkeeper Zhou stood there in a daze. He was almost scared out of his wits by Lin Muyu's sudden increase in power. That was a heavenly realm expert. Looking down, the fire armor shield that he was so proud of had already been broken in half. Lin Muyu's control of her strength was perfect. The battle energy only split the shield, but it did not extend out to cut shopkeeper Zhou's arm. Otherwise, with the sharpness of the dragon spirit sword, perhaps shopkeeper Zhou's body would have been cut in half. No, with the angle that Lin Muyu had slashed at, shopkeeper Zhou would have been cut into 5 pieces. How is this possible? Looking at the scattered fire armor shield on the ground, shopkeeper Zhou's face was full of disbelief. This is a shield forged from the black turtle fire armor for 10,000 years. how could it be cut in half? Jin Xiaotang patted his shoulder, and said with a smile, Uncle Zhou, if you agree to a bet, you must accept your loss. Shopkeeper Zhou nodded, of course, but sir, can you let me take a look at your sword? Lin Muyu crossed her arms in front of her chest, and smiled as she shook her head, no, it's just a slightly sharp blade. He understood the principle of not showing off one's wealth. In fact, the reason why he was willing to make the bet was to help Jin Xiaotang. Otherwise, he would not have been willing to let the dragon spirit sword out of its sheath so easily. After all, the more people knew about this sword, the more disadvantageous it would be for him. Fine, fine, shopkeeper Zhou said dejectedly, sir, please come with me. I will fulfill my promise and give you 200 excellent quality shields. What do you want these shields for? Just send them directly to the Eagle Nest camp. Okay. Shopkeeper Zhou's eyes lit up, and he said, sir, could you be the new commander of the Eagle Nest camp, Lin Muyu? The Lin Muyu who saved Her Highness? Yes. Huh, I see. Then I did not give these 200 shields to the wrong person. Huh, thank you very much. You're welcome. It is the store's honor to be able to send these shields to the royal guards. At night, the 200 shields were sent to the Eagle Nest camp directly into the military warehouse, and then distributed to those who needed them. As for Lin Muyu, the idle commander, he finally returned to the Eagle Nest camp. Fortunately, he had Wei Chou and Xiahou Sang, these two capable men, to help him take care of the Eagle Nest camp. Otherwise, he would have been in a terrible situation. Sir. Wei Chou stood at the side, cupped his fists, and said, after the winter sacrifice ceremony, the Zetian Palace's new mission has been sent to the Eagle Nest camp. The mission this time is relatively simple. We need to hunt 30 cloud deer and 500 swift wolf skins in the dragon-seeking forest within a month. In addition, His Majesty wants to customize new battle robes for the commander-level generals stationed at the border, so we need 100 snow fox skins. Yesterday, I led 30 people to the edge of the dragon-seeking forest and have already hunted 40 snow foxes. Lin Muyu couldn't help but smile. So efficient? Xiahou Sang joked, Sir Wei Chou's archery skills are becoming more and more exquisite. Now, it can be said that he can shoot a willow leaf 100 steps away, and with the demon-devouring bow that the commander rewarded him with, killing those snow foxes is like killing a chicken with a butcher's knife. Wei Chou smiled awkwardly. Sir Xiahou Sang, you flatter me. This is the result of the Eagle Nest camp soldiers working together. As he spoke, Wei Chou suddenly thought of something and said, Sir, the triennial sword duel tournament will be held in 5 days. There are less than 3 days until the registration period. Has Sir signed up? I heard that Feng Jixing, Qin Lei, and the others have all signed up. Oh, the sword duel tournament is finally starting? Lin Muyu grinned and said with a smile, all right, where can I sign up? The sword duel tournament is directly organized by the Zetian Temple, so you can directly sign up with the Zetian Temple's official. It is said that the registration fee is very expensive, 100 Jinin coins. Ordinary people can't afford it, and after signing up, you must be selected by the Ministry of War before you can participate. I'm afraid that it will be very difficult for commoners to have the opportunity to participate. Is that so? Lin Muyu frowned and said, what are the benefits of winning the sword duel tournament? You can obtain the Gilded Dragon Talisman bestowed by His Majesty. This Gilded Dragon Talisman is a symbol of military power that is higher than the Tiger Talisman. Those who possess the Gilded Dragon Talisman can directly mobilize an army of less than 10,000 soldiers in any province within the imperial capital, but after the operation, they must report back to the Zetian Temple. I believe that the Gilded Dragon Talisman is more of a symbol. Lin Muyu frowned and said, then there must be a lot of people participating in the sword duel tournament? The noble young masters of Lanyan City and those with extraordinary cultivation will all participate, and there are even quite a number of people who have traveled thousands of miles from the other 11 provinces. For many of the declining noble families, seizing the Gilded Dragon Talisman will be an opportunity for their families to rise again. Will Xiangyu participate? Lin Muyu said indifferently, if Xiangyu participates, I'm afraid that others won't have the chance. Wei Chou smiled and said, don't worry about this, madam. Commander Xiangyu will not participate. Why? Because the age limit for the sword duel tournament is 35 years old and below, and Commander Xiangyu is already 37 years old. Alright, then it's settled. Lin Muyu pressed the table and said with a smile, Wei Chou, follow me to the Zhe Tian Temple. Yes. Chapter 181. In the Zhe Tian Hall, the palace administrator, Ko Sun, wore a high crown on his head and his hands hung low in front of his chest. He looked at the group of eagle guards outside with an extremely respectful expression and said with a smile, May I ask which lord wishes to participate in the sword duel assembly? Me. Lin Muyu stepped forward, but Wei Chou and the others didn't participate. If they couldn't get first place, it would be a waste of the 100 Jin coins. Ko Sun smiled faintly and said, so it's the Lord Commander who wishes to participate. All right then, please write your name on the register, then put your fingerprint on it and pay the money. Many thanks. Lin Muyu walked forward and took the quill from a guard. She wrote her name on the register and put her fingerprint on it. At the same time, she glanced over and saw that there were 2 other applicants in front of her. One was Yuan Lian, and the other was Tan Zhong. They seemed to be the names of the children of officials. That Yuan Lian was most likely the person who had appeared at the auction house last time. He was the son of the protector of the realm, Yuan Xie. He must also have some ability. After signing, Ko Sun glanced at Lin Muyu's handwriting and held back a smile. Alright, it's done. The sword duel assembly will be held on the viewing platform in front of the Zhe Tian Hall in 5 days. Lord Commander, please don't be late. Many thanks. Lin Muyu cupped her fists and turned to lead Wei Chou and the others out of the side hall of the Zhe Tian Hall. However, they hadn't walked too far when they saw a group of maids walking over with lanterns in their hands. The moonlight fell on the face of the woman in the middle, reflecting a bright and beautiful luster. It was none other than Qin Yin who had arrived. Big brother Yu. Qin Yin quickened her pace and arrived at Lin Muyu's side as light as a butterfly. She smiled and said, You didn't even tell Xiao Yin that you were coming to the palace. Fortunately, Imperial Father's attendant told me. Her expression was affectionate as she held on to Lin Muyu's arm. Immediately, Wei Chou and the rest revealed dubious expressions, as though they understood what was going on. This caused Lin Muyu to feel slightly awkward as she said, I'm here to sign up for the sword duel tournament, so I didn't come looking for you because there's nothing special. Qin Yin pouted. Then you can come and see me too. Lin Muyu didn't know how to argue with him, so she said, Isn't that? Ah, the moonlight tonight is really nice. Qin Yin raised her face and looked at the moonlight. She couldn't help but smile. The moonlight is beautiful, but brother you should come with me. Father wants to see you. Oh, His Majesty wants to see me? Alright, let's go. Alright. The group headed straight for the main hall of Zhe Tian Palace. Wei Chou and the rest of the Imperial Guard stayed outside, and only Lin Muyu was pulled by Qin Yin into the main hall. However, Qin Jin wasn't at the back of the main hall, but in the back hall. When Lin Muyu walked over, she was given a fright. She saw that the emperor was actually wearing a simple set of clothing and was currently stir-frying an iron wok. This emperor of the empire was actually cooking. You're here? Qin Jin smiled without even turning his head. Wait a moment. Father's stir-fried clouded deer tongue sliced meat will be ready very soon. You didn't even tell me that you were coming back. Fortunately, an attendant told me, so I had Xiao Yin call you over. Today, our family will have a good reunion dinner together. In the future, you, remember to come back for dinner every festival. Otherwise, there will only be me and Xiao Yin at this large table. You also know that Xiao Yin has always loved crowds since she was young. Lin Muyu's heart warmed. She cupped her fists and said, I understand, father. Sit down and wait for a moment. Oh right, Xiao Yin, go warm up the wine. The weather is getting cold, and drinking ice-cold wine will hurt your stomach. Yes, father. The way the empire warmed wine was very simple. Qin Yin placed the wine pot in a golden cauldron and poured some hot water into the cauldron. Just like that, she warmed the wine. Lin Muyu didn't sit down. She turned around and walked out of the main hall. She said to Wei Chou and the rest, I'm going to eat at Zai Tian Palace today. You guys go back to the Eagle Nest camp for dinner. If you're late, the spiritual fire department will close. Wei Chou smiled. There's no need. We'll just wait here for Milord. At least we can look after each other. That's fine. Lin Muyu nodded. She understood what Wei Chou was thinking. Now that Lin Muyu was the emperor's godson and was on good terms with Feng Jixing, Qin Lei, and Qin Yin, divine Marquis Zheng Yifan had long since viewed her as a thorn in his side. If she went out alone, she might fall into Zheng Yifan's clutches. No matter how strong Lin Muyu was, she was no match for Zheng Yifan. There was no doubt about that. If Wei Chou and a dozen other imperial guards were present, they could at least put up a fight against Zheng Yifan. Even if they couldn't win, they would still be able to escape unscathed. After all, the demon-devouring bow in Wei Chou's hands wasn't something to be trifled with. As long as they didn't fall into the range of Zheng Yifan's oppressive aura, the arrows should be the most dreadful attack for a sanctuary expert like Zheng Yifan. After all, arrows didn't have any spiritual nature and weren't affected by the oppressive aura domain. By the time they returned to Zai Tian Palace, Qin Yin had already warmed up the wine. Meanwhile, Qin Jin had already taken out the cloud deer tongue sliced pork and stir-fried small sharp peppers from the wok. An alluring fragrance immediately filled the air. At the same time, Qin Jin opened the steamer at the side. Surprisingly, there was a dish of bear paw stewed with blood ginseng inside. The fragrance was almost suffocating. Coupled with the other dishes, the table was soon filled with a sumptuous feast. Qin Jin clapped his hands and removed the apron in front of his chest. He regained the demeanor of an emperor and said with a smile, "What are you waiting for? You, sit down. Xiao Yin, sit down as well. Pour some wine for Imperial Father and Big Brother." Qin Yin smiled very sweetly. All right. The special flower plum wine was very fragrant. When a cup of wine was placed in front of them, just the smell alone was enough to make one intoxicated. Lin Muyu closed her eyes and took a deep breath. She savored the fragrance of the flower plum wine and sighed inwardly. The longer she stayed in this world, the more likely she would become a drunkard. This was not good. Qin Jin looked at Lin Muyu's expression and could not help but smile. You, come, have a drink with Imperial Father. All right. Lin Muyu raised her cup and said with a smile, "Here's to Imperial Father's good health and all the best in your life." Qin Jin was taken aback by such a congratulatory speech. However, he soon felt relieved and said with a smile, "You's words are really interesting. Come, let's drink to the brim. This is the first time our family has tasted Imperial Father's cooking together. Let's not stand on ceremony." As soon as the wine entered her stomach, a warm current immediately rose in her abdomen. Although the flower plum wine was very fragrant, the alcohol content was not low. If she drank too much, she would probably become very drunk. Just as Lin Muyu was considering how much wine she should drink, Qin Jin pushed the pot containing the blood ginseng stewed with bare paw forward and said, "You, try this dish. Imperial Father has stewed this bear paw for a whole day, so it should taste very good. The blood ginseng is good for clearing blood clots and is said to be able to heal bruises caused during cultivation. You and Xiao Yin should eat more." Many thanks, Imperial Father. No need to be so polite. Xiao Yin, have a drink with your big brother you. Alright. Qin Yin picked up some food for Lin Muyu. After watching him eat 2 mouthfuls, she raised her cup and said with a smile, "Big brother you, Xiao Yin offers a toast to you. I hope that your cultivation will improve and you will step into the divine domain as soon as possible." No, I should say that you will step into the divine domain as soon as possible. Lin Muyu could not help but laugh. It's already difficult to step into the 3rd heavenly realm, let alone the divine domain or the divine domain. However, many thanks for Xiao Yin's auspicious words. He tilted his head back and drank the cup of wine. He could not help but complain. The wine cups in Zetian Palace were really not small. They were like large bowls. Just 2 cups of wine had already made him feel a little dizzy. He ate more food. Qin Jin's culinary skills were indeed top-notch. Even the chefs in places like Tingyu Restaurant were not necessarily better than him. It had to be said that Lin Muyu had a rather satisfying meal. Gradually, he did not feel very reserved anymore. After all, Qin Jin and Qin Yin seemed to really treat him as part of their family. After an unknown period of time, his head felt a little heavy. When he was about 60 to 70% drunk, his stomach was also full. Lin Muyu tried his best to maintain a respectful and humble attitude. He did not want to show his original arrogance in front of Qin Jin. After all, Qin Jin was a supreme existence in this world. It was already rare for him to treat him like this. If he were to overstep his boundaries, it would be unreasonable. If someone respected him, he would respect them tenfold. This was the way Lin Muyu did things. You're also participating in the sword contest meet? Qin Jin asked with a smile. That's right, Lin Muyu took advantage of the fact that he was tipsy. He placed one hand on the table and said with a smile, "When I first met Xiao Yin, she advised me to participate in the sword contest meet. Now that I'm a royal guard, there's nothing wrong with me participating in the sword contest meet. Besides, the top few in the sword contest meet should all be rewarded, right?" Qin Jin laughed. That's only natural. The sword contest meet is held once every 3 years. It's the main channel through which the empire selects its generals. Those who get into the top 8 of the sword contest meet will at least be promoted to the rank of a Chiliarch or above. The top 3 will have limitless prospects, and the person who gets first place will receive the Gilded Dragon Talisman. As he spoke, Qin Jin stood up and took out an exquisite treasure chest from the gilded cabinet behind him. He opened the chest and immediately found a golden dragon-shaped talisman. He smiled and said, "This is the Gilded Dragon Talisman. With this talisman, one can command any army in the empire that has less than 10,000 people. You must get first place, Lin Muyu was a little puzzled and said, "Big brother Feng Jixing and Qin Lei are also participating in the sword contest meet. Moreover, there are other experts. I'm afraid it won't be that easy for me to get first place." "Imperial Father, you want me to get first place?" Qin Jin smiled slightly. "Don't ask so many questions. Just get first place. In short, don't let Zhen Fang, Yuan Lian, Ling Feng, and the others get the Gilded Dragon Talisman. If you or Feng Jixing or Qin Lei get the Gilded Dragon Talisman, then those 10,000 troops will be under Imperial Father's control." Otherwise, Lin Muyu seemed to understand something. She narrowed her eyes and said, "If there's someone who can wield this Gilded Dragon Talisman, then Imperial Father can have an army of 10,000 soldiers, right?" "Smart. Qin Jin smiled cheerfully. It's late. Go back and rest early. Thank you, Imperial Father. There's still a lot of food here. Shall I bring some back for you? Thinking about how Wei Chou and the others were still hungry outside, Lin Muyu nodded. Thank you, Imperial Father. Chapter 182. When Lin Muyu walked out with a basket filled with food, Wei Chou and the others revealed gratified expressions. They all understood the saying that accompanying a ruler was akin to accompanying a tiger. Disregarding the reward, it was already a blessing for Lin Muyu to be able to come out alive. However, Lin Muyu's complexion looked good, which made them feel relieved. It smells so good. What are you carrying, milord? Wei Chou asked with a smile. Lin Muyu waved the basket and said with a smile, His Majesty personally cooked some food. I brought some out. Ah, really? Xiahou Sang's eyes widened. Commander, is this really food personally cooked by His Majesty? Yes, how can it be fake? Milord, can we have a taste? Lin Muyu smiled. I'm already full. I brought it out to reward you. Alright, it's not appropriate to say such things in Zetian Palace. Get on your horses and follow me out of the imperial city. Yes. Not long after, a group of people slowly rode on their horses along Tongtian Street. Lin Muyu distributed the food in the basket to the eagle guards. For a moment, Wei Chou, Xiahou Sang, and the others ate the bear paw and pheasant meat. All of them were on the verge of tears as they thanked the heavens for their kindness. To Wei Chou, Xiahou Sang, and the others, Qin Jin was the ruler of all living beings. To be able to eat the food cooked by Qin Jin was an honor in itself. Many people served in the imperial army but never got to see Qin Jin, the Radiant King, once in their entire lives. Those who could eat the food personally cooked by the Radiant King should be able to smile in the underworld, right? It's delicious. Wei Chou's eyes were a little red as he said, His Majesty can truly be said to be unparalleled. His culinary skills are simply amazing. No wonder it's widely spread among the people and they all praise him as a brilliant ruler. Is that so? Lin Muyu took advantage of her drunkenness and said with a smile, Yes. His Majesty is indeed a wise ruler. In reality, this was not what he thought in his heart. Although Qin Jin was a gentle person, this was also his greatest flaw. As an emperor, it was important to be gentle, but he did not have enough authority. This was why he could not do anything when Zhen Yifan, Luo Xing, and the others were so overbearing. Qin Jin had only grasped half of the skills of an emperor. Is it really delicious? Lin Muyu asked with a smile. It's delicious. Wei Chou and Xiahou Sang said in unison. Then, they quickly wiped the tears from the corners of their eyes. Lin Muyu could not understand why these people were crying. However, when she recalled what Qin Jin had said to her at the end, she could not help but feel a chill in her heart. Did Qin Jin really see her as his adopted son? That might not be the case. He knew that with his abilities, the chances of him obtaining first place in the sword duel tournament were extremely high. Perhaps the reason why he was so nice to him was to make use of him. Making use of him? He sighed. His heart was filled with helplessness. My lord, what are you talking about? Wei Chou asked, puzzled. It's nothing. Lin Muyu tightened his collar and said, let's go quickly. It's very cold at night in Lanyan City. Yes. On Eagle's Nest Mountain, the cold wind howled like the wails of ghosts and gods. Lin Muyu sat in his room and slowly released the spirit pulse technique. In an instant, his spirit became clear, and the drunkenness disappeared. His spirit was refreshed. As his cultivation progressed, it seemed like the strength of his spirit was also increasing. Perhaps he could control the power of the fourth star? He could not help but feel excited when he thought of this. Whoosh! He stood up and put on his cloak. Lin Muyu raised his right palm and quickly increased his battle energy. The power of the fourth star swirled in the depths of his energy reserve. Suddenly, the scene became extremely demonic. Waves of demonic power appeared around him, gradually distorting the power of space. Everything around him became faint. This was also the unique feature of the fourth star's attack. It could distort space and cause damage to all targets within a certain range. For Luminary's demon and god's cry. The power suddenly exploded. However, just as the destructive power was about to completely explode, Lin Muyu suddenly retracted his power. Instantly, the distortion of space disappeared. Waves of battle energy scattered in all directions, turning into spiritual power that seeped into the ground. The power of human cultivation came from the earth and the stars. After the power exploded, it naturally returned to the earth and the stars. At this moment, the people in the Eagle's Nest camp with slightly higher cultivation were all startled. Wei Chou, Xiahou Sang, and the others all climbed out of their barracks. They were all stunned. What happened? Such a strong wave of power just now. Even though these people did not know the spirit pulse technique, which was a secret art to cultivate the spirit, they were still disturbed by the wave of the fourth star's power. At this moment, a voice came from outside as someone rode up the mountain. I am reporting to the commander about the latest mission from the Zetian Palace. My lord, please wait for a moment. I will report to the commander now. Thank you very much. Lin Muyu had already put on her armor and left the room. She said, What is it? The messenger was a dragon guard and recognized Lin Muyu. He immediately saluted and said respectfully, Commander Lin Muyu, this is the latest hunting mission from the Zetian Palace. It is all recorded on this scroll. Yes, I have brought it. Thank you. You are welcome. At this moment, Wei Chou, Xiahou Sang, and the others also gathered around. Wei Chou asked, My lord, what new mission is this? Lin Muyu unfurled the scroll. There were lines of words clearly written on it. 1 light-type spirit stone of over 6,000 years old, 20 leopard skin, 1 set of long hair ivory of over 3,000 years old. Lin Muyu took a deep breath and said, We need light-type spirit stones of over 6,000 years old. This is a bit difficult. My lord, may I ask if these missions were issued by His Majesty? The dragon guard shook his head. No, His Majesty is already asleep. These missions were issued by Master Che Cheong of the Zetian Palace. If it was His Majesty, he would not have issued such a difficult mission to the Eagle's Nest camp in the days leading up to the sword duel tournament. A light-type spirit stone of 6,000 years old, humph. The dragon-seeking forest is already sealed by snow. Where can we find it? As he said this, he raised his eyebrows and said, Commander, how about? I ask Master Qin Lei to speak to His Majesty and dismiss this mission. No need. Lin Muyu waved her hand and said, There are still 5 days until the sword duel tournament. Perhaps there is enough time. Since it is a mission issued by the Zetian Palace's supervisor, the Eagle's Nest camp will do their best to complete it. However, I would like to ask, I have already handed over the 6,200 years old light-type spirit stone for Her Highness Yin's cultivation last time. Why do I need it again this time? Logically speaking, with Xiao Yin's current cultivation, she does not need spirit stones at all. Even if she used them, she would not be able to absorb too much spiritual energy. The dragon guard took a deep breath. This spirit stone is not for refining, but for forging weapons. Forging weapons? Lin Muyu was startled and said, What does that mean? The dragon guard cupped his fists and said, Commander, you may not know, but the Zetian Palace has gathered heroes from all over the world. A few days ago, they invited the most outstanding weapon forging master in the Heaven's Pivot Province, Wuxia Xianxia, to enter the Zetian Palace. His Majesty intends to forge a light-type longsword for Her Highness Yin. This Yuchi Yen promised that as long as he can find light-type spirit stones that are above 6,000 years old, he will be able to forge a sharp sword that is at least profound grade rank 4 and offer it to Her Highness Yin. For this, His Majesty has already rewarded him with 10,000 Jinin coins. So that's how it is. Lin Muyu smiled in relief and said, since it is a mission from the Zetian Palace, the Eagle's Nest Camp will do their best to complete it. Help me bring flowers to Supervisor Che Chiong. The Eagle's Nest Camp will complete the mission on time. There is no time limit, and the commander does not need to go. Or, it won't be too late to go after the sword duel tournament. I have my own plans. Many thanks. You're welcome. Then this subordinate will take his leave. Alright, forgive me for not sending you off. Watching the dragon guard ride off into the night, Wei Chou immediately revealed an angry expression and said, "This is ridiculous, this is too much. Does that old man Che Chiong really think that the Eagle's Nest Camp is a beast that he can order around at will? He said he wants it, but didn't he think about how strong a light-type spirit beast above 6,000 years old is? Even if the dragon guard went to hunt it, it would take several people to kill it, not to mention the Eagle's Nest Camp. Motherf asterisk Ker, this is too much, too much." Xiahou Sang also said, "That's right, Commander, why don't we report this matter to His Majesty and impeach Che Chiong for abusing his power?" "There's no need." Lin Muyu raised her hand and said, "If His Majesty finds out about this matter, he will only think that the Eagle's Nest Camp is useless. Since Che Chiong has made things difficult, then we will complete our task. Rest early tonight. Tomorrow morning, Wei Chou, Xiahou Sang, the two of you will pick 2 capable experts from the Eagle's Nest Camp. The 5 of us will set off with light equipment. We must find a suitable spirit beast within 2 days. You know the dragon-seeking forest better. Tell me, where else can we find a light-type spirit beast above 6,000 years old?" Wei Chou frowned and said, "Milord, this matter is indeed too difficult. Not to mention the fact that light-attribute spirit beasts that are over 6,000 years old are hibernating, it's at least 5 days' journey away from us." Xiahou Sang was silent for a while, then said with a frown, "Actually, that is not the case." "Oh, what method does Milord Xiahou Sang have?" Lin Muyu asked with a smile. Xiahou Sang said, When I was young, I used to hunt in the dragon-seeking forest with my father. At that time, the dragon-seeking forest had not been designated as a forbidden area by the Imperial Army. I remember that in the southeastern corner of the dragon-seeking forest, near the borders of Heaven's Pivot Province, there is a forest called the Forest of Malicious Ghosts. It is a forbidden area for all hunters, and anyone who enters it will die. However, my father said that there is actually a spirit beast that is at least 7,000 years old in the Forest of Malicious Ghosts. It is just that no one has been able to kill it. That spirit beast has been entrenched in the Forest of Malicious Ghosts for thousands of years, and even the government cannot do anything to it. The Forest of Malicious Ghosts is about 2 days' journey from here. If we don't stop, we should be able to make it in time. Alright, we will set off tomorrow morning. Milord Xiangying will be in charge of the daily affairs of the Eagle's Nest Camp. Yes. You're tuning in to the Unparalleled SwordWill YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.